Welcome, my friends and enemies. Glad you are here. One day I'll get used to this, and it is not this day. So, we're back to a round number of 4 for once in a long time. Since Octarian's internet sucks, and he's always busy for some weird reason, because, Europeans have to work like slaves. But yeah.
Indeed, yes.
Here we are. Except for Sage, he doesn't work. But yes, I am here with Inquisitor Sage. How you doing, buddy?
Hello. I'm alive, so
And doing nothing.
that's
as
a
usual.
good day. And
moving on. We have functionally anti-functional Inquisitor Matt. How you doing, bud?
I'm okay, guys. How you doing?
You sound okay. Get better.
Although that sounds glorious. Glorious.
Well, can't get us sick through the internet. Not yet. They haven't made those kind of viruses.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
and we have Inquisitor Law from Crimson Law YouTubes.
Hello.
Not to be confused with his pubes, because he likes that for his boyfriends.
Why are we starting this right out the gate, huh?
I have to do it for Ronnie. But not like he's gonna watch this, but anyway. How you doing, Crimson?
I'm doing fine. Well, for the most part.
I saw you had some new purchases the other day. Vagabond and what was it?
Vinland Saga.
Vinland Saga.
There's some other stuff in here. Like I picked up a couple of like solo leveling.
Saga's not bad.
Vinland Saga was great. The first season was a little bit funky how it ended, but it is what it is.
What do you mean? It ended fantastically.
The guy was just acting erratic, but that's a different story.
Yeah.
That's not typically how I would call a good story. But anyway, that's not why we're here. That's not why you're here. By the way, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun jazz. There'll be a link to Crimson's channel down below, and to Matt's as usual. Sage doesn't have a channel, so he doesn't get a link.
Oh no.
I don't know. At this point, Sage just might become a permanent questioner that he just does videos when I'm not doing them.
Nah, I don't think that's too much work.
Darn. Oh yeah, too much work. Finding a topic and talking about it.
Yep.
Very difficult. Especially in our line of work. Anyway, we have a new topic that I personally think will be interesting to some extent.
I wonder what it will be.
Well, that depends on how long it takes me to find it, because the list got long all of a sudden.
Oh no.
Yeah, I have this tendency to make things take long. How about I'll do it the simple way? There it is, right at the top. Missed it. How did I do that? All right.
Brilliant, my boy.
I'm ingenious. What can I say? All right. So for everyone's lovely attention, I give you conservative pundits.
I remember this story.
Do you?
I don't.
I actually covered this on a Saturday live stream. Yeah.
Too bad it wasn't Saturday Night Live. We actually would have gotten millions of viewers.
On October 27, 2024.
Yeah.
I have to say, on the face of it, thinking how good gamers are now, you might be right.
Yeah, no, that's.
I mean, I would say more how like game developers specifically. But
true. Maybe he lives near a bunch of like woke leftists raising horrible male
where does he live?
I mean, if you grow up in either a super puritanical household, you are more likely to revolt against that puritanical leadership, quote unquote leadership, and turn towards the opposite, because the pendulum always swings too far the opposite direction. And basically, you're more likely to just have all the opposites that you grew up on. But if you are typically born on the left side of things, like not the center left, but like left, you're probably looking at more be nice to everyone until it doesn't really affect like the way you want it to. Like, it's nice to be nice to illegal immigrants, but it's not nice to be nice to your fellow citizens, that kind of thing.
See, Matt
Well,
Walsh is
no, so let me just state my thesis like clearly. So, like, I've noticed a trend in certain areas where like leftists are raising their young men to not really be men.
You mean raising their young children to be women?
Well, no, ready to be soy, not even women, like, and like if you're a man, like I'm not a father, okay, but I was raised as a man, and you're dating someone, and even as a teenager, you're supposed to respect her, be capable of defending her, and willing to die for her. Like take a bullet for you, because that's basically
I don't know
mating
about
training.
that last one though.
Well, no, if your girl, someone's gonna attack your girl.
This is how you know Sage is going to be single for the rest of his life.
Well, no, but if someone's attacking your girlfriend, you got to get between them. You know what I mean?
No. You just
that's not if
flatten
you
them
date them,
with the
right?
tank.
That's you're not at that stage yet.
I'm not getting between the guy who's attacking my girlfriend. I'm putting him on the floor. That's what I'm doing.
I'm sneaking up behind him and just.
The thing is, you might have to take the first hit, if especially now unless she caused the problem. It's like if she pull out a knife and attack the dude, well, she's on her own. But
I mean, if she's doing that, you probably have poor choice of women.
Yeah,
or you're dating a Mexican. That's another
that's
thing.
Well, no, I mean, like even Italian women,
Yeah,
especially
that
Sicilian women.
Latinas are wild, dude. Okay.
Bro, Sicilian women.
Every woman everywhere is wild. What are you smoking? Good women.
No.
Emotionally unstable is part of the gig.
What's part of getting to be serious about it is, like, I don't think there's a whole generation of leftist young men who I don't think are capable of basic male, like, defending the women and whatever. And
well, they will, but that's to white knight for them so they can get laid.
I don't no. They may even. I'm saying they have to be capable, as in like not like emaciated, no physical exercise, no training.
So they don't have to do it, but they must be able to. Is what.
Well, here's the other thing though, is that's presuming that the women want masculine men.
No, I'm not talking about that. You're jumping the.
No. I'm saying for a man to. I get what you're saying about like men should be able to do this for whoever they're dating / married to. I get that part. I'm saying in terms of for them raising their children to be men, quote unquote. They're trying to. Like they're doing the bare minimum.
No, I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I'm talking about the effect of all these young leftist raised males who aren't really men. And I'm wondering if that's why when he thinks of a gamer, he's thinking of one of those guys, not like,
Are you implying that Glenn Beck is uninformed on a lot of areas he's not familiar with?
Well, a lot of them don't. Yeah, but a lot of people are like
I would say,
by the way, who
is
this guy?
Glenn,
hold on.
He is a conservative pundit. He runs an American news outlet here called The Blaze. It's kind of like the Daily Wire, except for a little bit more libertarian.
Is?
Only vaguely.
The Rippaverse.
The Rippaverse. Yeah.
Or, I don't really know him beyond that.
Well, yeah, I know, but he's a YouTuber. But Eric July works for Blaze, as does Quarter Black Garrett, who has his comedy show through The Blaze.
Yeah. The Blaze would be more like a religious, not religious, but what they call the moral majority aligned. The right leaning.
I believe Glenn Beck's Mormon or something.
But yeah, whereas the Daily Wire is more of I guess you would say a libertarian / economic conservative lean. That's kind of the difference between the two groups.
Be more like the Christian conservatives then.
More the
pure. Well, they're both Christian conservative in concept. You know what I mean? But not all Christian conservatives are like preaching are like want to turn America into a Christian nation, so to speak.
Now, here's the thing, though, is that I don't know if conservative is what a conservative is as by what we know it is anymore. Like nowadays, I think conservatives have changed so much, and it's kind of split into multiple factions. There's for example, how the Republican Party has rhinos, and they have the other people who want the rhinos gone.
So
I was about to say you have rhinos, and I don't know if it's okay to say MAGA on YouTube, but that's pretty much what you have.
I don't even know if I'd call them MAGA because you don't have to be Republican for MAGA specifically.
No, MAGA is a populist movement.
Yeah,
but strictly speaking, in terms of political theory, the terms conservative and liberal refer to.
Well, I know what they mean. I'm saying I don't know if that's how they can be identified accurately now because everything has changed in the sphere.
It's not that it's changed; it's that people are trying to take words that mean things. So you paraphrase Rush Limbaugh, like conservative and liberal, or left and right, and make them very wishy-washy, so you can use them to refer to anything. And then words cease to have meaning, and therefore Therefore, things get convoluted, and we get a lot of what that like.
Well, I'm not even referring to that. I'm talking like people who are like, I joined the conservatives, but I'm not a conservative the way they're a conservative. I'm a conservative this way. Like they assign themselves a different form of conservatism, because conservatism used to be like economical or
no, see,
saving things.
We talked about gatekeeping last week, right? On the last week's episode.
Yeah.
So the purpose of a political party is to have disparate political movements. Like, for example, you could have your Christian conservatives, your MAGA Republicans, and your other Republicans or whatever in one political party, right?
Yeah.
What people like I don't want Glenn Beck's not as bad about this as it used to be, but they want to gatekeep and have only like used to want to gate and only have a particular type of right leaning person in the Republican Party. They want to make so
which is impossible if you want to stay populist.
How, for example, the left has purged Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr., who are basically liberals. They purged them from the Democratic Party. You know what I mean?
So, well, yeah, you didn't stand by me in all the things I wanted you to, so bye. That's kind of their move.
Yeah. So gatekeeping is a very big topic with these sort of people, and they want to do it to political purpose. Not say him per se. He's not as bad as he used to be. You know?
Yeah, I don't listen to him. I don't know much about him outside of like I knew him and Rush and people like that back in the day. Where Sean Hannity and everything were like really big in the conservative spheres, as like the pundit talking.
Well, Rush was way smarter than either Sean Hannity or this guy.
And again, that ultimately doesn't really matter to me whether they're smart or stupid or whatever. I just want to point out that this is a really stupid take. So, conservative pundit Glenn Beck bans daughters from dating gamers because if you changed it from dating, literally change gamers to anything else, and it sounds stupid, that's how stupid it sounds.
Yeah, well, let's get into it.
Yeah. So,
bans daughters from dating black men.
Ooh. Bans daughters from dating NASCAR fans. Bans daughters from dating basketball fans or football fans, soccer fans, swimming fans. That'd be freaking weird, but
I would ban my daughters from dating Mets fans for sure.
Ooh.
Hot takes, I stream on Mondays with a Mets fan. I won't tell him you said that.
He might watch this video and hear it himself. But no, like it just like even thinking about it, you're like, that sounds retarded, like legitimately retarded. That sounds like a terrible idea, no matter how you shake a stick at it.
Well, it's making a generalization based on one like irrelevant trait or hobby that someone has. It's like, have you seen all the posts?
I would say irrelevant, but yes.
Okay, but like it doesn't inherently determine the quality of someone's character or how well they actually do in life.
Yeah.
Have you seen the posts about like women making all the jokes about like the least attractive hobbies that men have?
Oh yeah,
collecting figurines, taxidermy, gaming, that kind of stuff.
I always loved how taxidermy was so high on that. Like, how many people are doing taxidermy that didn't even get on the list? Like, seriously,
that does seem a bit weird.
Are all these women dating the same guy? It's like. It's like 1,000 women are like, taxidermy's evil. How could you have that as a hobby? And they're like, there's only one taxidermist in the world.
It's gonna be weird to make that qualification. You can't date gamers because a gamer varies based on the person and how they define themselves. Like you could be
Does
someone
this include people who play mobile games?
It's like, I play games on my phone. Yeah. Does that make me a gamer? No.
I was about to say, if your interpretation of a gamer is just the guy who sits in his mother's basement and eats a whole large pizza on his own and never gets any exercise, you're not going to find many of those types, actually.
I mean,
you're more likely to find like just the average guy who works a trade job and comes home and plays Call of Duty because it's the only thing he gets to relax to after work.
I don't live with my mom.
There's nothing wrong with being able to eat a whole large pizza as long as you burn 10,000 calories a day.
Yeah, but how big is a large pizza?
screaming toxicity at the screen is a really good way to burn calories. I just like to point that out there. And somebody's trying to take that away from us.
I know.
No, my point is like the generalization made just on something.
I wouldn't call it generalization as much as a stereotype.
It's a stereotype based on.
But stereotypes are generalizations.
No, they're often misconceptions about generalizations.
No, but
Well,
they're
no.
built on a truth
Yeah.
that exists in something.
Well, no. They're built upon an idea. Like I saw one dude in his mother's basement playing video games. Is really fat and sits on the couch all day, shoving potato chips in his mouth. When like 99% of the population that does gaming is not like that. That kind of a thing.
Yeah.
It's a stereotype. It's the public image everybody has in their mind. I'm not saying that it's actually 99%.
But it's also a generalization.
Yeah, well,
Mhm.
it's attempting at a generalization, but if it's not accurate statistics wise, I wouldn't call it a
A
generalization.
generalization doesn't have
No,
to
but
be accurate.
generalizations don't have to be accurate.
Okay then.
Anyway, he's effectively taken that one instance and like applied it to everyone. He's made this idea that like gaming is the core issue with someone who
But,
is living
okay.
that kind of lifestyle, not the fact that they're so like lazy and unmotivated likely because of something else, that video games just happen to fill the hole in their life.
Well, no, but see, that's
Or it's just
you
fun to
gotta
do
you
and burn
gotta
stress.
you gotta understand evolutionary psychology here. Okay, 10,000 years ago, you had to generalize everything to it could possibly kill me, or my children, because that's how the world was. You know, so we have an instinct in ourselves to generalize in a negative sense everything we are unfamiliar with to being a danger. You know, and now that's a survival mechanism, and not everyone knows that, so that we get a lot of horrible outcomes. Well, not everyone knows that. You know what I mean? They let these generalizations run amok. You know,
Well, I would say a lot of this stuff is kind of ridiculous more because let's assume that people who play video games, hypothetically speaking, were just inherently better people than people who didn't play video games. Not necessarily just because they play video games, but maybe because they're less stressed or they have things they enjoy, thus they're more happy, or whatever the case might be, than everybody else who doesn't. So if that was in
then
fact the case, this statement would.
Gamergate happens.
Well, that's not necessarily gamers versus gamers. It's gamers versus political
Yeah, no, but
activists,
that made it impossible to
differentiate.
be as happy as before.
Well, yes, they did come in and ruin it for a lot of us. But if hypothetically speaking, gamers were the happy, better people, and everybody who wasn't a gamer wasn't, he's effectively condemning his daughters to be with the lesser than men, which I think is ironic because he's doing a hardline statement rather than a like. I mean, it would depend on the person kind of thing, which would be like the safe way to take because it actually does depend on the person. Like, there are people who game explicitly sports and they freaking creep me out. But just go play sports. That you're better off. But then you have people who, play like a couple hours a week because they work ridiculous hours working either in a trade or at a job that's very time demanding and everything. And then just like, I've got some time blow before bed or whatever, and I'm just going to eat some food, play some games, take a shower, head to bed. The usual what you'd expect from people coming home from work and they're tired and exhausted, but they want to relax. So in that way, you're completely removing those people who might be just like normal people. It's just their hobby, instead of sitting in front of a TV doing no activity whatsoever and literally just being a fat blob, they're actually using their brain power. They might be more into it where they jump up when things go wrong or whatever the case might be.
That's if you have a Connect.
Or a Wii U.
Or a Wii U.
Or you're just my younger, hyperactive younger brother.
I wouldn't say that. He might hear that through this video.
Oh, no. He won't watch this, and he's at work right now, so I'm fine.
Wait, he doesn't watch this? What kind of... Never mind. Anyway.
He doesn't even watch my videos, so don't worry.
Well, I mean, I can understand that. But anyway. Conservative radio host and owner of Blaze TV, Glenn Beck, has recently been causing controversy by once again making statements against gamers. Where have I heard that before? It started in a previous...
and look at the right. That's where you heard it before.
Well, we'll get there. It started in a previous interview with fellow conservative host Liz Wheeler, who herself caused controversy earlier this year by calling male gamers undateable. I mean,
okay.
I don't know a gamer who would probably date Liz Wheeler, but okay. After which Wheeler questioned him on his opinion of gamers. I don't know why gamers pop up in these like conversations. Like
Because conservatives still hate culture.
I get that part, but I'm saying like there's so much culture to go after, like movies, like the Hollywood, the Marvels, DC, Star Wars, like, all that kind of stuff. There's so many other topics to go for. Why gamers? When they see gaming to be a children's thing, which obviously is not the case, it's adults mostly because they were children at one point, and then when they grew up, so did the gaming industry.
Yeah, well, at one point the script got set to video games cause violence. You remember that phase of the whole public discourse around it?
You talk about the new Satanic Panic?
Which was
Yeah.
which was a leftist movement that the right bit hard on.
Yes,
Yeah,
no,
well,
I'm not going to argue that.
I've
My
noticed
my
the
point
right
is that either way, the right still decided to deflect the issue of violence and school shooting and all that onto video games. They decided to make that their topic. So
Well,
now some of these guys who were around at that time, who were talking about politics and stuff, are still repeating the same topic because it's what they're familiar with.
But the
And
funny
Glenn
thing is
Beck
they're
actually
not
know-
familiar with it at all. That's the best part.
No, they're familiar with the line. They're not familiar with the topic or any of the research that's been done on this field.
Now that the baby boomers are like way old and don't count too much anymore. For the most part, we're talking Gen X on down as far as the active people in the culture, right?
Well,
And
millennials.
Well, I'm saying that the top level of active, like Gen X is still active in culture, whereas the baby boomers are largely retired and dying. You know.
Well, yeah, they're also blaming everything on the younger ones for not being able to do what they could do. That's a different story.
Yeah.
No.
So Gen X, my generation, and downward, like millennial, Gen Y, Gen Z, and all that. Among Gen X, my experience is that about half of us are way into tech, like we're the ones who invented all this shit, or the other half like lived on an island somewhere, you know,
or under a stone, a rock somewhere.
Yeah, like well, and then that reverses to people on the left and on the right, right? So people like Glenn Beck, right, or Matt Walsh or whatever, they lived on an island someplace where they weren't exposed to tech as a young person,
Well, that's
and
probably true.
you know, other than getting a phone. I mean, they have a phone, and that's about it for them. You know, so
they probably use flip phone Motorola's or something.
well,
Maybe a
personally,
Nokia, not a flip phone.
if I didn't know how to protect my device, I'd want to use a flip phone too. But that's all separate.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
there's various reasons, but anyway, Beck readily agreed with Wheeler, saying that he has banned both of his daughters, one of whom is only 18, which means that's the young one, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
So
a bit weird to put such a limitation on, like,
if I went,
someone who is
I don't have a daughter. I have two boys,
think.
but if I went to my hypothetical daughter in a hypothetical alternative universe, as I had two daughters instead of two boys, I would be like, yeah, I don't want you, dating golfers, or I don't want you dating.
To be fair, that's probably
plumbers.
reasonable.
I mean,
ban.
yeah, but it's what it is. But no, like it's just like I don't want you dating plumbers, or I don't want you dating like I can understand saying I don't want you dating, like actual like alcoholics that have abusive tempers and will beat you. Like that makes logical sense because harm is actually built there.
Gay cannibals. Jeffrey
Well, I would
Dahmer.
say that Glenn Beck's perception of gamers are, like I mentioned earlier, that they're that soy, anemic, blue-haired, leftist, like no hope for humanity type of. There's a reason that the birth rate on the left is well under replacement.
Because
Before they even started the whole, oh my God, no more sex until Trump is out, or aborting babies because Trump is the president. Or,
I just saw it today, but I don't know if it was probably this recent week. This one Democrat politician actually had herself sterilized to protest Trump because she didn't want to like have a kid in Trump's America. I'm sitting here going like, you permanently sterilized yourself for a 4-year window?
No, it's perfectly reversible. Like everything they do.
Yeah, totally.
Well, as it turns out, the birth rate among like conservative and right-leaning people is like three babies to one couple. The birth rate among centrists is like 2.1, and the birth rate among the left is like less than 1 per. So,
I mean,
who's going to win in 20 years? I don't know.
Nature is healing. Well, I mean, at that point, they'll just adopt a bunch of kids from the system,
first.
We just got to keep fighting through, and propagation will help us.
He went even further later, saying, "I wouldn't allow my daughter to date a man who collects figurines either." What about
Okay.
what about baseball cards or football cards?
No, that's fine.
You know, Glenn, the stuff you probably did when you were a kid. You could be like, "No, you can't date that guy." Well, then you shouldn't have
I
gotten
would like
married.
someone to just make a generalization about me here. You know, all the shit I have in the background.
Okay, quick look
I
at my
think,
area.
yeah,
just
that
I
one
know.
seems
just a quick look.
bigger.
You know,
It's like,
and that's not
who-
even all of it.
can you judge someone based on a hobby or something
Yes,
they
you
collect?
can.
Yes.
You can tell if they have good taste or bad taste.
Mhm.
What I mean is, can you make an assessment of their character or like
Probably not.
specifics? Like, are they like
Or
dateable?
actually,
Are
I
they going
guess
to be able
that
to
depends
provide
on
for
the
I
hobby.
mean,
someone?
if you went to somebody's house and they had like giant, statues from Dragon Age: The Veilguard, Concord, or Dustborn, then yes, you can.
You know, fair enough. I can see the point.
but if you don't, then probably not. But like, if you go into a
Talking about
house,
Veilguards, I see
No,
it's
my
underperformed
point.
according to E EA.
duh.
My point regarding that is that if you like, I have
Surprised to
a
admit.
collection of some like figurines and stuff,
I've got
but I work a
little-
trades job. I fix houses and stuff. I'm out there working with my hands, doing physical work all day.
Mhm.
Does at what point does my hobby outweigh what I actually do with my life?
immediately. Like,
Yeah.
Of course,
If
yes,
you have one
apparently.
figurine, then you're doomed, I guess.
you know what would be the best thing is if whoever's dating his daughter buys him like a Funko Pop for Christmas.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, Glenn Beck's undateable. Get his wife out of here. She's gotta leave him."
No, I guarantee Glenn Beck would actually be the kind of guy who would like Funko Pops
That's
because they're ugly
true.
fucking fake nerd
Yeah.
shit.
Well, the
Hot
gateway
topic
to
pop culture.
the gateway to that stuff for a guy like Beck is to get into political ones, like the Trump Funkos, the Trump trolls, and all that.
See,
Hmm.
look at this. Calling both hobbies equally "quote unquote" weakening to what it means to be a man. You haven't defined, let alone be allowed to be the one who defines what a
Equally
man
weakening.
is. Like, how does isn't a man able to do things with their little princess daughter, like sit down and sip, fake tea with their daughter and all their plushies and act like they're real? Isn't that like what a
Better-
real man can do? And you would
Better
say
yet-
this is weakening?
Better yet, would a real man give a shit about what the opinion of someone else is?
Absolutely.
Would
not.
they care what someone else thinks of them if they're a real man?
Probably not.
Well, no, you should because your reputation matters.
Well, your
Okay,
reputation, yes,
reputation,
but that's not
But
your
if someone's
reputation.
gonna judge me because I have a collectible statue on my shelf, I'm not. I don't give a shit.
I mean,
I don't think
what's
anyone should give a shit.
what's your reputation as a Chiefs fan after that Super Bowl? Like, I mean, come on. Seriously.
Better than a Mets fan.
Well, I mean, there you go. But is your
You
reputation?
had Swifties on your side. I wouldn't be saying that.
I wasn't a Chiefs fan, but yeah,
No, I'm saying the guy's saying better than a Mets fan. I'm just
that's Matt.
if you have Swifties on your side, you're the loser of
Look,
You're,
any.
you're already
Well,
on the
listen,
side of
low.
evil.
Yes.
The lowest of the low. There are murderers, serial killers, and Mets fans.
No,
No, no, no, no.
I would
Swifties
put
are below that.
Swifties below.
Swifties are below
Met
that.
fans.
If you are unstable enough to actually agree with like Taylor Swift on anything and even like her music, you're unstable, probably even beyond serial killers.
Hey, look, Taylor Swift at least is
No,
what's the
she's not.
polite way? What's the polite way to say fuckable?
No, she's not. She's like a 2.
No, she's bro. Don't John. I mean,
No.
if you found
I have
Taylor Swift in
standards.
holodeck, you would go for it.
No.
If you found that.
No,
know.
she has the wrong proportions. Also she's kind of annoying, but yeah, it's also
Well, that's the
too much
holodeck. You
makeup.
reprogram it in the holodeck, So
What?
in the holodeck, you would reprogram the personality.
Well, in a holodeck, I would just have a totally different person. That's better
That's why
taste out there.
I have at least 5 that I would pick before.
I have at least 10
Well,
billion people I would pick before her.
In
But
your
yeah,
holodeck, we can get through all of them in my holodeck.
Hey, you guys have lists.
I don't keep track of them. I just pick a random person off the street, and I'd be in better shape probably. With the initial interview getting ratioed on social media platform X, I can't imagine why, Beck continued making anti-gamer statements because they always double down. Why do they always double down?
Well,
It's
he
like,
makes money now.
I
He's
s-
making money off of that.
I say stupid stuff. Well, yes, but he's not necessarily getting like subscribers or anything. He's
If
probably
you
he's
are
probably
a blue,
hemorrhaging it.
if you are a blue check mark, okay, and on X, and you get like reposted after a certain threshold, you get money for it.
Yeah, no one's ever going to repost me to that threshold. So
No, well,
I don't
Glenn
know.
Beck, if Glenn Beck posts, like video gamers or dweebs and so on, he gets 100,000 reposts, he's going to get banked for that. Why do you think those Krappenstein brothers? Yeah, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. The Krappensteins. What's their real name? The Krasensteins. Well, Brian and the other Krasenstein.
Is it
Why did
Brett?
they shit post? No, those are the Weinsteins.
I was
So
about to say, that's Brett and Eric Weinstein.
yeah, there's the two brothers called the Krasensteins who are leftists who shit post all the time.
Oh, are you talking about those
And-
two like Democrat
Oh,
little
The
teenager guys?
reason they do it is because if you respond to them or you like them or you repost them, either one of them, at a certain threshold, they make money.
You beat them at their
Okay.
own game. You screenshot it, then post it on your own. Suckers. But no, like, it's just having a bad take because the way I see it. But then again, I'm an actual like upstanding guy. I'm not one of those scumbags who manipulates people like that. But I would be like, my reputation is on the line. Like, yeah, I might make a few bucks, but if my reputation is irreparably damaged, who cares about the money at that
we
point?
weren't supposed to care about that.
What?
What other people think of you.
We said we did verify that reputation was different.
Yeah.
Like, it's quite different. But anyway, I'd be like, I'm not gonna just say dumb stuff to where people are going to mock me or cancel actual subscriptions that actually bring in income passively every month. That just seems kind of silly. But he compares men who play games every day to women who are addicted to TikTok. Because, TikTok, the brain dead activity, and the game that actually literally stimulates your brain.
Well,
Totally
maybe
the same
collecting
thing.
figurines doesn't quite rise to that.
I mean, it
level.
might. Maybe Warhammer, Mech Warrior, or I guess BattleTech.
Yeah, but that assumes you actually play the game. If you're just
And
collecting the figurines,
then you have a very expensive hobby.
True,
A very expensive hobby. He continued making disparaging statements on his radio show throughout the week about quote unquote weak men who, in his view, were so obsessed with playing video games that they weren't noticing the people trying to plug everyone into a video game against their will.
what?
If anything, those are the people who are the most aware of the situation, not the opposite. Like, we're not
So
going.
which video game were we being forced plugged into?
Well, the next part is
Metaverse.
this is referring
No
to a
one
conspiracy theory that Mark
uses
Zuckerberg and other
Metaverse.
elites at Silicon Valley are plotting to enwrap the world in a Ready Player One style simulation.
Yeah, that's never going to work.
Well, considering
Well-
we don't have that technology and we probably don't have the ability to have that technology.
It's being developed.
We actually do have like Neuralink headsets, but they're like $25,000 right now. I watched a guy do a whole video
Yeah,
on
Like,
this.
are you talking like Sword Art Online kind of stuff?
Yeah, kind of.
I would like that actually.
Yeah, both Elon and
But if you're
Zuckerberg.
it's similar, but if you're familiar with Shangri-La Frontier, it's more so.
I know
tactile.
the name. I don't remember the actual.
It's very similar, where it's like a full immersive VR headset. So
Yeah, both Elon and Zuckerberg are dumping a lot of money into like a cheap Neuralink. Now, in Elon's case, it's because he wants it for help disabled people. So, like, you can like if like let's say you can't walk, you can control your wheelchair with your mind and all that shit.
I guess that would be cool.
It'd be very helpful. There'd be a lot of
yeah.
useful things because your brain can process things faster than you can actually speak.
Well, they can make a lot of external prostheses that will help you when you're disabled. Like,
Roleplay D&D with their wheelchairs.
like I don't know if you guys have ever looked into this, but like they can make wheelchairs that walk like people now.
Then they're not wheelchairs by definition because they don't.
I was
have
about to
wheels.
say that's an
it'll-
exoskeleton.
It'll fall down into being a wheelchair most of the time.
So that's a
if you-
transformer, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's a transformer. But if you want to go upstairs, it'll transform and walk up the stairs.
Wheelchair
It'll walk
bots.
for a little bit.
Roll out.
Point is, there's a segment of the mostly from the left who want to take that technology, plug people in, and just treat them like farm products.
Well, of course they do. That's also highly unrealistic to actually happen in their favor. But anyway,
In the U.S., for sure.
Glenn Beck's opposition. Yeah, the Chinese government might do it, but Glenn
Yeah.
Beck's opposition to video games as a hobby have come as a surprise to new fans of his because they don't know very much. But old listeners to his radio program know that this is nothing new. Glenn Beck's distrust of games goes as far back as at least 2008. What an amateur. Where he slammed Grand Theft Auto 4 as a violent propaganda. Oh my gosh, the guy's never
It's
played Call of Duty.
2008 when the whole
Good old steely wheelie
Video games goes
automobile
violent
breaking
happened?
conservatives since
God.
the beginning
He
of
should
time.
he should have been there in the era of when you could make your own games. People will release kits where it'll be a generic game. You can program like who the villains are and yourself, and we would do like certain scenarios where teenagers harm their fellow schools. We would make video games out of it.
Well, he clearly missed, Perfect Dark, Turok, James Bond 007 GoldenEye. Like,
Well, no,
he
but
missed-
those are morally aligned games where the good guys beat the bad guys for the most part. There's
we're
a
talking
whole
about
subset-
violent propaganda. We're not talking about morally proper.
No, but in
questionable.
Turok or GoldenEye or whatever, generally speaking, you're playing the good guy, right? Whereas in Grand Theft Auto, there are no good guys, and
Sure.
there's a lot of
Hey,
you know,
when I play Grand Theft Auto, I still drive on the right side of the road and stop for stoplights.
yeah.
But yeah, so at the time he accused leftists of trying to scapegoat guns for school shootings, which is true. When it should be video games that are targeted by federal regulators instead, that's not true. And in 2014, Glenn Beck accused Watch Dogs of teaching kids how to hack. Because that's how easy it is, guys.
All you do is press a
What?
button and you can control someone else's
I
drone.
press
Yeah.
Not even a
square,
good game.
triangle, X. What was the other one?
I don't know what your crazy controllers look like.
PlayStation controller, you nutbag. I have one right next to me. I should know. X, square, circle.
Yeah, but I don't use them, so I can
Triangle.
still be stupid.
No, that just makes you stupid for not knowing. Anyway, I well,
Yeah, hacking.
there are games on Steam right now that you can get for free. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it like basically does teach you how to code. So you like / type everything in your BIOS and everything, and you like go around and actually like make money in the game for it. Not like real money, but it's like it's almost like a cyberpunk game. And I played it for a bit, and I learned stuff pretty quickly, but not like you ain't hacking nobody anytime soon. Glenn Beck's criticism of violence in video games was echoed by former GOP House Speaker Kevin McCarthy and Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick of Texas after a school shooting in Dayton, Ohio left 29 dead, with McCarthy proposing a ban on the sale of violent video games to teenagers. The teenagers will just go to their parents, who will go and buy it, just because you're not going to stop anything. You're just going to be ridiculously stupid.
That is literally how I got every copy of Call of Duty that I played.
Like, you don't even need your parents to pick it up. You can say, hey, I have a friend who's old enough. He'll just buy it for me. Like, when I grew up, there were like freaking 8-year-olds playing freaking Call of Duty. Like, there was no stopping that from happening. They didn't obviously buy it because we have rated M games require you to be at least 17. It doesn't matter. But don't you worry, guys. You can die for your country at a very young age, but you sip that beer, we're throwing you in jail for life. But anyway,
Why do I need a violent video game when I can go read Hamlet, which tells me to stab old people hiding behind curtains?
I know, right? Morally questionable books are not getting banned, so why not? Glenn Beck,
or how about the Scarlet Letter that talks about the extreme punishments for adultery and all that.
So every time a girlfriend dumps me, I should put an A on like a scarlet letter on her forehead.
Oh.
Every time? How many letters she got now for dumping you? Glenn Beck wrapped up his thoughts on gamers by declaring that women who do date gamers are ignoring what nature intended the role of men to be, which is...
Elaborate, dear sir.
I don't recall anything of that topic being brought up by nature. And if I do recall correctly, we do evolve over time. So if we didn't do it before, because obviously video games didn't exist, and then we do play video games now, maybe it's not meant to be a man or woman thing. Maybe it's supposed to be just a human thing.
Nature didn't intend for humans to be talking about politics this bitterly.
So I would say,
I don't think nature intended for humans to exist.
No,
since,
that's
since
They try
Glenn
their
is,
darndest to kill us all.
since Glenn is
Okay,
taking
that's
that
true.
position, I will respond to him. Hey, Glenn, do you know who our closest living relatives are? They're chimpanzees. Male chimpanzees are some of those sadistic, violent, like murderous things you can find on the earth. That's what nature intended humans to be too. So maybe we should go do that.
So, nature intended the role of men to be, but due to woke girls defying nature, dang it, I thought we could get to the whole thing without woke being pulled up. Defying nature. What does woke girls defying nature have to do with men playing video games? You don't have to have literally any interaction with a woke girl in order to play video games. But it is up to right-wing dads to ensure that their daughters don't date men who game or collect figurines.
Okay, I think I
This
know
is
what
level
happened.
of pettiness.
He probably saw one clip of Anita Sarkeesian and assumed that all gamers think the way she does.
I mean, Neil Druckmann does.
Could be. So wait, so
And he's a girl.
what's the logic in this sentence? Because it doesn't seem to have.
There isn't logic in this sentence because he's conflating what he doesn't like. Like, I don't like this hobby, therefore it's bad, and that's not what nature was intended. You know what nature did not intend? People to watch
So-
Blaze TV. To listen to Glenn Beck. That's not what nature intended it to be, because that's not what a man is. It's not saying that a man can't do it, but it's not what nature intended, nor is it what a man is defined by. So that's ridiculous.
So does this mean that he thinks if a woman dates a gamer, they become woke?
Or,
that-
I mean, all of it together, probably because they will promote violence or be extremely violent or something, which is funny because most of the guys I know that play violent video games are probably the most chill, laid-back people ever. The only time they get quote-unquote violent is when they start screaming at the screen because the toxic people they play with. I mean, Xbox lobbies? Come on, people.
Yeah, I was about to say, you know how many death threats I got playing Call of Duty because I was a kid who didn't have anything to do after school?
I mean, honestly, I'm surprised. I mean, besides the fact that nobody knows this channel very well because it's only like 200 and odd people. I'm
I guess
honestly
it helps.
surprised I
that
haven't
most
gotten
people I heard
anybody
was
with
in
death
Russian
threats
because
yet.
I did
Yeah.
Counter Strike,
That's
so I
nuts.
didn't really understand it.
Yeah. All right. Well, the next one. We're going back in time. By like a month
So
ago.
this person calls people undateable.
Conservative TV host calls gamers undateable while citing bogus study.
This was the one I was talking about,
Yeah,
where it was
this
like
is
the
Liz
least.
Wheeler.
Mm,
Time out.
okay.
Time out. Do you want to record that as a separate video?
Okay, sure.
This is all same theme. So, sure as the sun declines at the end of each day, so too we can count on people outside the gaming industry throwing stones into it. Sounds right. This time it's conservative influencer Liz Wheeler. Oh wait, those darn conservatives again. They're at it. Liz Wheeler is a popular conservative. Press X to doubt. Conservative television host who started her career hosting on OANN, One American News Network, before moving into podcasting. They all seem to be doing that now. It's really weird.
Everyone's doing that now.
Yeah,
Not everyone's succeeding.
podcasting is just a new thing.
Yeah, it's not like I do that twice a week. But yeah, where was I? Oh, yes, she has hot takes on. Or no. Woo! I'm way ahead of myself.
No, you're
Her
right.
opinions
frequently-
frequently gather tens of millions of views, which is kind of sad, actually. With nearly 1 million followers on X, her hot takes on politics and culture and the episodes of her show, The Liz Wheeler Show, because that's creative, have gone viral multiple
Yeah,
times.
why are they all called a name show?
Because they are the show.
Because it became popular for like Saturday night stand up to like get something like for the show to be named after the host.
Yeah.
Well, not just that, but legally you kind of own your name. So, like, as long as she doesn't sign the rights away, someone can't go make a Liz Wheeler show with her not in it. You know what I mean?
But what if there's another
Oh.
Liz Wheeler?
They have to be a Liz Wheeler. You know,
What if I legally change my name to Liz Wheeler?
that you could do it.
That would be incredibly stupid, but
It would
Well,
be.
it came
would
up
be.
interestingly enough.
But to ruin a dumb person's reputation. I mean, I might be really.
I also have doubts as to how genuine the 1 million followers on X is, because they still have a huge bot following problem over there.
It's not
Well,
that bad.
it's-
We like purge most of the
even if she
excess
does
bots.
have 1 million followers, how many of them are actually fans of hers is the real question. A lot of people follow people like this because of their dumb takes, so they can report on it, or so that they can make fun of somebody, or because they agree. That's also a
Well,
possibility.
there's like-
this Pro Goblin, for example, also
What-
I guess follows this
What is
person.
there, 7 billion people on the
Not
planet?
technically.
Oh, I don't know. 1 million doesn't seem like much anymore.
7 billion people on the planet?
Is
I
it
think
6
it's
or
like
7 billion on Earth
7.5,
now?
I think we're at now.
7.6 billion.
Yeah, so 1 million followers doesn't seem like that much anymore.
It's really not. It's a very small dip in the pond.
Yeah. Like she's a lot closer to
she
us.
wrote
as
and
if I was
published
our
Hide
kid,
Your
you know.
Children, exposing the Marxists. Ah, dadgummit. I thought we were going to get this whole thing about Marxists too. Dadgummit. The Marxist attacks behind the attack on Americans' kids. That's a freaking title. Holy crap.
Yeah, this is a light novel title.
I was about to say, is this like a brand new isekai that's getting released here?
New isekai. Hide Your Children, exposing the Marxists behind the attack on American kids in another world.
The Soviet
also
Union
turns
never
into
died.
a vending machine.
The Soviet Union never died. It was just reincarnated into a fantasy setting.
I would come up with the best isekai names ever for Japanese companies if they let me. But most recently, she cited a fake study from a TikToker making a joke in order to slam men who play video games. Because, research is dead. Well, it's a fake study because the person made it up.
Well, sociology research.
The study purports to prove that what women hate most in men is I just pulled a beardo. And it is an interest in video games. You were saying, Crimson?
I was about to say, it gets even funnier because she got called out for this bogus study, and she basically went like, well, I was just joking about it, but now actually... and
Why
then
does
did a
that
whole
sound like a familiar topic from conservative pundits?
I don't know what I would call.
If I had to
say, I mean, I get annoyed by people like her in particular because
she's
they
blonde
claim
and
to be
a woman.
Yeah, because I hate all women. Because they
Checks
claim
out.
to be, they claim to be conservative, but they're really more like right, like far right, not far right, but like the further away. This is going to sound very convoluted, but it's not. The further away you get from the center, past a certain point, like to the when you go to the, you can't be very conservative because your positions are so out there that you need the government to impose them on people. You know. And people like her or
What does that
Melanie
do to the
Mack or her or Melanie Mack or whatever.
I wouldn't say they're center, but yeah.
No, I'm not saying no. I'm talking about what the word conservative means politically. Not the positions are left, right, center, but conservative liberal means to what extent do you want to use government power to push your positions? You know, and most positions that are closer to the center, let's say within 40% of it, don't need a lot of government to push it because they tend to be safe positions. When you get further away, where these people want to impose their particular version of Christianity or Islam or whatever, or on the right, for example, that like because I've listened to a bit of her stuff.
Matter of fundamentalism.
Yeah, I've listened to some of her stuff, and she's further like right, so to speak, than Glenn Beck. You know, she's less living.
Not as farther right as Melanie Mack.
Well, Melanie Mack is pretty far right.
she's the border.
I was about to say this woman I have a particular bone to pick with her because
Melanie Mack or Liz Wheeler.
Liz Wheeler.
Okay.
Well, both, but Liz Wheeler in particular, because she did a whole part of her podcast or whatever talking about how anime makes you gay and trans.
Well, I mean, you're here, so she's only half right.
Well, no, 1/3, right? Maybe 1/4.
Well, he's already gay.
And Matt?
No. I'm talking about Crimson specifically. He's already gay. He just has to be trans to fulfill it.
That's true.
This guy has some lingering regrets about not marrying his boyfriend, and he has to take it out on me.
I've never had a boyfriend, unlike you, Crimson.
There is nothing in Fist of the North Star that can make you gay. Nothing.
Oh my god.
Do I need to go get my copies of Fist of the North
He
Star
doesn't
off the
even
shelf
quote it
and
correctly.
show some
Shut
artwork.
up, Sage. You're a fake European.
This has the manliest protagonist of all time. All time.
More than
Yeah, but isn't that
Conan?
what makes the
I don't
game?
know. I think I would take Guts over.
No, he wasn't smart enough to see what coming.
But also, anime is specifically not into that for the most part.
Yeah.
Except for the yaoi.
Well, then, yeah, then the serious
Well, the
argument
gay
though is
stuff,
like,
sure,
And the
but that's-
cross-dressing and all the other stuff.
I was
but
about to say there's
that's not
plenty of that
trans.
stuff there, but
Cross-dressing
you
is not trans, not even remotely.
there's
I mean,
plenty
that's
of
what
that
trans
stuff
is,
in anime,
cross-dressing.
sure.
No,
But
no, because
most
the
of the themes you'll find, like I
intent
know
is
Shad Brooks did his whole video about Ranma and a half, and like
The
like,
Netflix version?
themes of both versions.
Yeah.
And he
I
talked
remember
about the themes in that series and how it's actually pretty
It's pretty
pro
based.
traditional relationship values.
Based.
Mhm.
Yeah.
To be
There's
fair,
a it
the
really
whole
depends on
gender
the anime
bender
you're looking at.
genre is ruined due to the trans people.
Honestly,
Because-
I've never enjoyed gender bender stuff just because it's
Back
too,
in the
it's
day,
too
right?
cringe
It was all
for
about
my taste.
accepting who you are instead of trying to change it.
The only thing I
But
accept
now
about
it's
other people is that they're insane.
It's all shifted and corrupted into, oh, you the gender bend happens, and then
We have a bunch of egg
I've
crackers
always
out
To
here.
be fair,
wanted-
it's not just gender bending. I can't stand the Freaky Friday mentality for like stories where like you body swap.
Mhm.
It's just cringe because of all the things that happen to them. Everything ends up being cringe, and I'm just like, I can't watch it. It's worse than a horror film, and horror films put me to sleep. But it's just, I don't know. It's just really lame. That's something I can agree with Liz Wheeler on.
Yeah, this as far as this goes, I mean, she takes some like really fucking like grasping at straws kinds of points
Mhm.
and like stakes her entire position on those. The video game stuff here based on a bogus
She
study.
stakes her entire position on a joke she made. That's the best part.
Yes.
The study purports to prove that what women hate most in men is an interest in video games. According to the bogus study, a whopping 90% of women find playing video games to be the least attractive hobby a man can take part in. Well, men, you have a 10% goal. There you go. Narrowed it down for you. Followed by collecting figurines at 85%. Oh, that's a little bit of 10 to 15% window.
Okay,
For you.
I don't want to like. I mean, I could kind of see the figurine thing, like
Magic tricks. Okay, fair enough.
Well, no, because women. I don't know if you ever. I mean, you guys are. I know you're married, but I know Sage.
I'm the only
isn't,
one
but-
married here. So
Okay, so I'm like, I don't know how your wife is with all your stuff. But-
she does not care.
Does she have to clean it?
No.
Okay,
She,
In
she has
many
her domain.
households-
I have my domain. My domain has where all the
like
stuff
my
is.
mom stopped complaining on my stuff when I said, "Mom, you don't have to clean it. I'll do it." You know what I mean? Well, like there's a sort of like
To be fair,
maintaining
I'm
the house.
I'm too pedantic about how things are treated, and I like to keep
Well,
things
that's
in-
you. I'm
Well, I know,
saying,
I know,
like,
but I'm saying like I wouldn't let anybody clean my stuff because they have a higher chance of
Yeah,
breaking it
if
than I
one
do.
thing is like slightly off center, then it's
Not
Like,
not
if you-
quite that bad. I just
Like-
don't, I
like,
just
for
don't want the glare
example-
like the stupid poster keeps doing because I have no other way to put it up there.
For
Mm.
example, the show I do on Thursdays on Rover the Empire channel,
Yeah.
he's taking over the garage with all his figurines and memorabilia, and we it's a running joke with him and the wife where she goes, he talks to the Marge Simpson whisperer, goes, keep your stuff, keep your hobbies in the garage, you know, like.
I would not do that because of humidity issues unless that's a sealed garage
Well-
that never opens.
Well, no, but see, he cleans the garage and the figurines and stuff, and she maintains the rest of the house. Like women, I mean, it's a weird little thing. Like,
I mean, honestly, if
Okay.
I wasn't married, I probably would go full otaku because
yeah,
it's just-
I would too if
I
I'm
don't
not
care about
married,
other
so-
people. So
I mean, I'm not this apartment because it's like I don't want to do it here, but like my next one or my
Well,
house wherever I live,
I own a house, so
it's going to be all over the place. You're going to walk in and see posters and like,
that's my
You know,
basement. My basement is
you know.
that way. I don't have enough wall space for all the posters.
like
but-
you'll be eating on a table with some sort of like gaming map built into it. You know what I mean?
Well, I
like-
actually have an idea to custom. I
Okay.
have one of my grandfather's old tables from his house, and it's a really big, thick
Yeah.
like wood. And I was gonna cut out the middle of it and then put a TV underneath it to put like a digital TV with like a thin
You
glass
might
layer on
want
top.
to look up how people do that so you support it properly.
I know how people do it. I've already done all that research. This was an idea years ago. It's just I never got around to doing it because I just roll it. It's a lot of work, but it's also expensive to get all this stuff working and everything. I have plenty of TVs to do it, but I also have to have people who actually play with me, and there's not very many of those. But anyway, I did this where
85%.
Magic tricks are 80%. Nobody cares about magic tricks. And online trolling, which I do find funny every time I see these.
So this is the bogus study.
Yes, I see these young kids on YouTube going like, "You want to see a magic trick? They did this magic trick." And they're like, "What?"
Was it actually like a fake study or just
It's a bogus study.
The image of the
whole
it's just an image of polls. That's all it is.
Yeah. There's no actual poll.
And it literally goes in 5% increments. It's like 90.
It's a fake data.
Online trolling gets 75% because nobody does that. But Liz Wheeler posted a screenshot of the study, presented it without context, and said, "This is 100% true." I was there. Pepper Charm remembers when that post came out.
Okay.
Men playing video games is peak unattractive, beyond red flag, like deal breaker zone. Wow, she's really nailed this one. She's really nailing this out. It's weird that so many dudes don't get this. I'm like, maybe so many dudes don't care about you.
Let's look through her history and see if she ever liked a single picture of Henry Cavill.
What?
If you find any Henry Cavill mentions on her thing, she's like, "Oh, she's bogus." But yeah, the post has nearly 20 million views at the time of writing. But as users were quick to point out, the study is not only fake; it was originally created as a joke to see if it would go viral,
which it did,
failing successfully, I guess. A community note was added to the post saying, "There's no source provided for the reported finding, and the percentages are rounded evenly to the nearest multiple of 5, which is implausible." The community note further claimed that the origin of this image is from a TikToker. From an TikToker? Come on, guys. It's a TikToker. Don't do this.
Editing.
I don't know.
Who's your editor? I demand their position and their pay. I'll do a better job. Making a joke post about them being bird watchers. You got a problem with bird watchers now?
Yeah.
Man, they don't like anything, do they? Wait, bird watchers. Isn't that what people call sports fans who sit on at home or at the bar and watch TV about sports? Bird watchers?
Oh, I thought this was people watching birds.
That was your first mistake. The modern term for bird watching is not actually birds. It's people watching. Linked to a different study which showed that fewer than 50% of women disliked men who play video games. Man, I am beardoing out hardcore today.
Okay, so that's a better chance then.
You just increased the pool by 50%. That's pretty good. At least 50%. Liz Wheeler's post was quickly ratioed from people all across the political spectrum because everybody thinks that's a retarded take. Which showed that backtracking again. Wow. As well as by
you got to factor in also, and I think she's a tool, mind you. I think complete
in the literal or figurative sense.
But you got to factor in. She knows getting people to retweet her makes her money. People respond to her.
Yeah, I don't have any respect for people who do that. Like, just because you're making money, you have to say Mike Zero type stuff is really stupid. But
if I can like post ice cream flavored and get people to retweet it and make money, I do it.
Oh,
I wouldn't. I have too much self-respect for myself.
Yeah, I like money. So there we go.
As well as by. Go ahead, Sage.
I was going to say. To be fair, as far as like Liz Wheeler's position, there is like an actual like subsect of women who, for some reason, think like gaming is the worst thing a guy can do. For whatever reason, they just see a man having fun and like just get like a hate boner for it. Well, they can't stand the fact that men have something in life they enjoy.
To be fair, a lot of men marry women that they don't realize are this way because every time they sit down to game, they push the power button to their PS5. Their wife immediately knows and calls for them to come do something. Even if they check before, you need anything before I go downstairs? Oh, no, they literally have skits about this. You can find all over YouTube, Facebook, and everywhere else. They're like, literally, the guy's just going to sit down, and he's like, oh, yeah, gotta go. just instantaneously every single time.
Well, that's like the whole thing. I mean, there used to be skits about as soon as the guy was sitting down to watch a sports game, the wife would do that, Or
yeah, but no, like that's gone by the wayside. Like nowadays, women don't care. Like if my husband's watching football or basketball or baseball or anything like that, it's not a big deal. But if they push that power button to that console or that PC, all hell's breaking loose because it's going to be a war zone.
Women started watching sports, and now our younger generation of women are gaming a lot more. So the trope will be something else. Like in 30 years, it might be Susan sits down to play with his Yu-Gi-Oh cards or something
They're
like
gonna have
that.
freaking like women are against space porn.
You think Yu-Gi-Oh cards are still around by
Spaceship
then?
porn.
I'm just throwing something out there. You know what I mean? Like it'll be something.
There's always gonna be something else, something new that comes out. Whatever the next satanic panic is.
Yeah,
I do find it funny though because I essentially see this as something more along the lines of like women find video games peak unattractive. It's worse than cheating. It's like, well, I guess I got a new hobby, guys. Cheating. It's like, what? Who's gonna be okay with that? But okay, whatever.
To be fair, NTR is very, very popular with women.
The more you know.
You mean as in like the receiving or the participating?
Both?
Yes.
Well, one of those implies that the guy's cheating, so I don't know. But Zara Khan, a comedian and popular gaming streamer known as Fifth Rate Duelist, responded, "I think women like you are beyond red." Well, I don't. Zara sounds like a girl, but yeah, okay. But you are beyond a red flag. Bros don't listen to this. But Liz Wheeler doubles down as become
bold of Zara to assume that we did, but
double down as it become expected of someone who is known for causing controversy in the culture wars. She doesn't fight in the culture wars. She confuses the culture wars. She doesn't fight for culture. She fights against culture.
No, she does friendly fire.
Huh?
She does friendly fire in the culture war.
No. There is no friendly fire because she's not anyone's friend. She kills everybody.
She doesn't participate in the culture war. She's just off on her own, watching everyone fight and being like, you know what? This is what I'm gonna do, and then dropping a nuke on the whole battlefield.
This would be like if it was back to World War II, and the Allies and the Axis powers are fighting all over the globe, and then freaking Pakistan and Iran comes out of nowhere and starts nuking random battlefields. That's basically what it would be like. It's just kind of like they're not there to help anybody; they're just there to hurt everybody. But reposted a comment from fellow conservative culture warrior Ali, I don't know who that is, declared that she dislikes video games because they're antisocial and consumption based. Have you ever played a mass multiplayer online game? Because that's literally the opposite of antisocial. You literally are socializing with people literally all over the world.
You've clearly never been called the N-word by someone who is really pissed that you're better at COD than them.
Well, I've never found anybody better at COD than me. So
I might call MMOs antisocial by a different definition of the word. Makes you not want to be social with the people.
This is true. That block button or that mute button happens really fast. League of Legends is definitely the one game you want to hit mute fast on.
Mm-hmm.
I learned that one real quick.
Yeah. It took me a while, but it was mostly because I partially enjoyed their toxicity, also because I was that guy.
In the history of World
What do you
of
mean
Warcraft,
you don't know what strategy is? What are you, retarded?
Blizzard kept having to expand the block list every patch because people would fill the block list within like 2 minutes of it being expanded.
Wait, there's a maximum?
It used to be like 50 people. Now it's like 1 million people.
I'm surprised they don't just come up with a button that says ban all and then just like blocks everybody. Just get it out. It's like I'll whitelist them as they come.
Yeah.
That might be too
a max limit.
Well, they use their block list in World of Warcraft. Like when you're looking for group, if you block someone because they're a douche in the group, so you never have to group with them again. So that's
it prevents you from actually having to engage with them unless it's an open world instance.
Yeah, but why would you put a limit to how many you can block?
Well, 20 years ago, I mean, no one
really
thought you would.
People.
Yeah. Like when you could just ignore what they're typing in chat.
Losers
you know what I mean?
were a rarity back in those days. They weren't the common.
Well, okay, fair enough.
Back then, people were saying it. Like if someone was typing up in chat all sorts of horrible things, you reported them and moved on with your life. You know what I mean? Like,
nowadays everyone false flags everybody.
And now everyone gets triggered and oh god.
But we're posting a comment from fellow conservative culture warrior Ali, whoever that is, declaring that she dislikes video games because they're antisocial and consumption based. Well, what do you think sports or not sports. Literally anything that you have as a hobby that requires you to get more is consumer based. Like, you like a book.
Yeah.
Guess what? You have to go buy another book to listen, audiobook to listen to it, or a book to physically read it. Oh, you like food? Guess what? You got to go consume. So you're going to go bake without ever buying things. Like, everything is consumer based. It's a matter of how much you buy and what it is, what its value is, and all that kind of stuff. But to say somebody's antisocial, or does anybody go around to like a woman who's making a sandwich in the kitchen, expected, going to them and saying, you're antisocial because you're in the kitchen making a sandwich? No, that would be retarded, because that's not antisocial. It's just there's nobody else there. But if you get two women baking together, guess what? They bake together, so it's obviously not antisocial. And if you add another one, it just keeps multiplying. That's how
I would say it's like God, you're making a sandwich.
I have friendships that I still like, people I'm still in contact with to this day. That was all based on like the games we played together: Borderlands 2, Destiny, Call of Duty. Like in my teen years, I met people through game in my area who actually like played the same games at my age. Obviously,
I'm sorry, but like every time you say that, it's like, I have friends. Like, you have to like make that friends. And I'm thinking like totally non-homo, and then you're going through it. I met people online in my
I think
local
it's
area.
rejection at this point.
Sorry, Crimson.
I'm not the one who was talking about having a husband earlier. So just saying.
Yeah, true.
I didn't say I have a husband.
Again,
I am the husband.
I've been in a World of Warcraft guild for, I don't know, 15 years, the same guild now. We have people who died.
You're the reason Blizzard sucks, you know that?
We have people in our guild who died, and their character only exists in the game now in our guild roles because we won't person.
Yeah, I have one like that in my Guild Wars. One of my buddies, Treff, he's a bloke from across the pond in England, and he had a bunch of health problems, but he was on all the time, and he helped me out with a bunch of achievements and stuff, and he's a fun, great guy, and his favorite phrase was kill it with fire. And he'd run around with a flamethrower.
Great phrase. Yeah.
And he's been there. He's been offline 4 years now.
Yeah, we call it the gone but not forgotten ring.
Yeah, we always do the salute. And we're never removing him from the guild, so it is what it is. But yeah, Wheeler also posted a short video of her ranting against men who play video games and women who defend them, titling the video, "Come at me, haha, I'm right." Okay, if you ever title a video, "Come at me, haha, I'm right," you are by default wrong. Like, there is no alternative. Anybody who's egotistical about being right like that, you might be right, but you don't use that title by default. That's a Melanie Mac title right there.
Yeah, so basically you're wrong because you used the title.
No, you're by default can't be right because you're going into it assuming I cannot be wrong, not I'm right, but I might be wrong. There's a difference. It's the same thing like every time you go to like whether it be Glenn Beck or Liz Wheeler and you look at them, you're like, you just posted bogus studies or you have a really dumb take, and then they double down on it again.
Well, I would
and then
say
they go and they double down again.
I think the video.
Go ahead.
The video should be called, "Hey, my last video about this made me 10 or 12 grand. Let's see if put another fish in the water and see if people pay for it."
Well, speaking of doubling down again, guess who's here?
Oh. Hey,
Crimson's favorite. He's like, I thought I made it.
My favorite conservative retard.
This is getting out of hand.
I'm starting to think that pundit just means retard in a different language.
He does have his ignorant points, but half the time he's trolling when he does these topics.
No. He claims he's trolling. There's a difference.
Matt Walsh is Schrodinger's
sure?
douchebag.
You don't.
If he gets backlash for it, he's joking. If he doesn't, he means it.
He has a pattern he follows, and it's hard to take somebody who's like anime and video games is stupid and gay and lame, and then has a banjo. I'm sorry. You need to stop wearing flannel. Like it's
like what he did.
You're not a lumberjack.
The dude is
smoking because it's cool. Is gone a long time ago.
Starbucks barista.
Okay, start that again. Who said what?
I said Matt.
Okay.
Go ahead. Go. Let's just go down the tower. Okay.
So I was asking, are only lumberjacks allowed to wear that then, or how does that work exactly?
It's not a sin to wear flannel. It's just that's all he wears essentially.
Hmm.
It's rare for me to see him not wearing flannel. Like he has to go to, I don't know, freaking Old Navy or something and just buy flannel that they have, and then he just wears it rolled up sleeves because it's the cool style. That hasn't been cool since the mid 2000s, guys. Come on. I know I wore flannel back then, but
Okay.
I was saying he is one ear piercing away from your average Starbucks barista.
I mean, I'd say he's one brain cell away from the
I
average
guess. Yeah.
Starbucks.
And I would say, for example, when he did his anti non-pasteurized milk rant a few months ago,
The what now?
pasteurized milk in the U.S. is all milk sold in the store in the U.S. is pasteurized. Okay.
Okay.
And he
he
did his
doesn't like
rant
that.
about that, about he was like, "Oh, why would I drink non-pasteurized milk? It's dangerous." Blah blah blah. Well, you can find videos of him a few years before advocating homesteading, where you would grow your own milk for cows and it would be non-pasteurized. So he knew the issue, but he trolled on it. You know what I mean?
I don't know
So
if
that's
that's
why I don't
troll or he just took a stance that he holds now, because that's the problem with like having a stance at one point and having the stance now is that they might change their mind. Like people are like, oh, this person
No, that's
said
not
these
allowed
things
anymore.
20 years ago, and it's like, yeah, 20 years ago they could have a totally different viewpoint now. Things could have changed their mind to where they like maybe they
I
watch
think
Steven Crowder change my mind, and then they're like, oh snap, my mind's been changed, and
my interpretation of Matt Troll is exactly.
my interpretation of Matt Trolls. That's what his new name.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not saying that he can't be sarcastic or he can't be any of those types of things, but he puts a lot of weight into something that's just a joke. And instead of just saying it's a joke for everything,
Well, no.
the way he says it's a joke
Okay.
after he gets backlash, he then says it's a joke.
Okay.
Is one of those things. Hold on. Let me finish. The way he does that doesn't inspire me to believe anything he says. Because if every time he says something, if nobody gave him any blowback, he'd never tell you it was a joke. Not that everyone would know it's a joke, he just wouldn't ever say it. And every time he gets blowback, because it will inevitably come because people have opinions, they'll come at him and then he'll say, "It's just a joke, bro." Okay. Because that's the same point. Even Liz Wheeler said that.
Yeah.
Maybe the usage has evolved.
Making a joke.
Maybe the usage has evolved, but trolling comes from the reference to the troll under the bridge who had to pay a toll to get across the bridge, even though he wasn't his bridge.
Thankfully, I do not pay Matt Walsh anything. So
yes, so Matt Walsh does this and trolls to get money because he knows people are going to choose to cross his bridge with this topic, and his content's going to get tons of interaction, and he's going to get paid from all the platforms with advertisers, with clicks, and all that stuff. So.
Except for Niche Gamer, because Niche Gamer is going to get this one.
Yeah.
Also, thanks to Niche Gamer for having these articles available.
But he doesn't just talk about Niche Gamer here, like Niche Gamer about this topic. I see him all the time on.
Well, I know. I know. That's not my point. But my point is I hate pundits that do this because they want to make money, and they do it at the sacrifice of their seriousness, I guess. As
well,
I
haven't taken Matt Walsh seriously like in decades. So it's
been around decades.
He's been around at least 15 or 20 years.
I think the first time I ever heard him talk, he had a high-pitched voice like this, and then I stopped listening, and then a couple years later, he goes back and he's talking like this, like he's been smoking too much. And I'm just like,
he's a little younger than me. I think I've heard of him since
he's younger than me.
You know, I think I've heard of him since like 2000.
I'm pretty sure he is.
How old are you?
He's currently like 32.
Damn, I don't believe that.
You don't have to believe it.
You know, let me be clear. I have no objection to people making money doing whatever you do legally, right? But I do. Seriously.
I do. I have objections. Doesn't mean I'm going to stop you, but I do have objections. I won't I don't want to take anybody seriously that they literally have to be disingenuous and dishonest in order to get anyone to pay attention to them so they can make money.
Well, you don't have to. You don't have to take anyone seriously.
I don't know, but I also don't want them to be the face of a movement and be like that movement being conservatives, because conservative
but they're not. That's why the Daily Wire is as its niche audience, so to speak.
No. We're talking Liz Wheeler, Glenn Beck, Matt Walsh, any of these faces that have their own host shows or whatever that are saying stuff And then every time the left comes in, they're like, well, see, these guys are saying this. I'm like, yes, but we disown those people because they're retarded.
Yeah, well, that's the biggest. I guess you would say, of the Trump MAGA movement is we took away them being the center of the movement.
Which is
Yeah.
probably why they didn't like it.
Makes sense.
Matt Walsh attacks anime again. And Crimson Law. Says men who like it are morbidly obese. Oh, Crimson Law is morbidly obese.
Just because I put on a little weight recently doesn't make me morbidly obese.
Every time I buy a manga book, I gain 5 pounds. It's like,
Wait,
wow,
did
you're
that
like
happen?
1,000 pounds, man. Yes, right-wing pundit, retard, and Daily Wire host, no difference. Matt Walsh has been attracting controversy by once again making mock inflammatory statements against anime fans and gamers.
Mock inflammatory standards.
It started-
Statements, not standards.
It's pull the beardo. It started earlier this week. The
In
anniversary
English,
of
it's a
Matt
different
Walsh's
language.
infamous statement that
I understand.
anime is satanic.
Yep.
I mean, he looks like he would believe that, so that works.
Yeah, but it's because Frieren has demons, right? So
He wouldn't
That's,
understand the actual like moral of the story for Rearland if his life depended on it. Walsh took some time to reflect on this moment and chose to double down, go figure, saying that yes, anime is probably satanic or at least Satan induced.
Influenced.
Wow, I'm tired.
Um,
I'm a beardo.
Not only would Matt Walsh fail to comprehend what Frieren is about, he'd probably pick up like a manga and realize that it's not read the same way as a book in English and think that he got a bad
that's a
print.
good point.
He
Wait,
would pick
wait,
it up
guys,
and realize that it's read right to left instead of left to right and be like, what the fuck is wrong with this
He'd
book?
be like, guys, I have a special misprint. It's worth millions of dollars.
This is retarded. Like, why would anyone want to read this in backwards? Like, the people who read manga.
I mean, to
are
be
fucking
fair, it's not
retarded.
read backwards because the words are all in the right order.
Yes.
But anyway, however, he says that he no longer believes men who watch anime to be genuine threat to society because, he was joking, right? But only
Mhm.
because they are all morbidly obese and even more fragile than social justice warriors on the left. Yes, because when somebody notice the irony. He attacks anime fans, video game fans, repeat, and then he gets defensive. It was only a joke. It's just a joke, guys. But if you attack an anime person and say, oh, you're fragile, morbidly obese, and satanic, they're so fragile, guys. They actually don't like being called that.
Wait, I thought morbidly obese and fragile are opposites.
No, actually, ironically, being morbidly obese probably makes you more fragile because you're easier to break.
No, but you have extra padding, right? So it's
Extra padding
fine.
does not mean you can't fall apart. It's more stress on your body.
Fair enough.
Come on. You're supposed to be a science major.
Physics, not biology.
Did you ever take a biology class?
No.
Man,
Well, maybe in,
Europe
maybe in
standards
middle
have
school.
dropped pretty hard. Wait, I mean, they can't
Well,
really...
this is what you get when you pluck someone up who looks like he's just some random homeless guy off the streets.
I'm sure that homeless guy is watching anime.
That too, ironically.
But
Wow.
then again, in Los
He's also
Angeles, he
morbidly
might be,
obese.
you
What
know?
is the irony? He's all the things. Now we're gonna be like,
Oh,
oh, everybody at the panel's satanic now. Goodness. But anyway,
Yeah. Wait, what?
Walsh's editor team then compared men who watch anime to an inflated Aunt Marge from Harry Potter. Which one's Aunt Marge again?
That's the one that flies away after being.
That doesn't
blown up
narrow
like
it
a balloon.
down. They all have brooms. And they fly.
No, but
No, the
so,
abusive aunt that he lives with.
Yeah.
I
No,
don't
that's a
remember
different
that.
one.
Is it?
So
See, there's more
Harry
than one.
Potter has an uncle, right? Where he lives with his uncle, and the uncle has a sister, and the sister is Aunt Marge, and she comes to visit in movie 3, and sort of insults Harry like crazy, right?
I mean, everybody insults
All the
Harry, to be
time.
fair, but yeah.
Yeah, but this one's super extreme. And then Harry gets angry and sort of turns her into essentially a helium balloon type thingy, and she floats away.
So Harry commits murder, is what you're saying?
No. They fix it
Oh, they do.
at some
Okay.
point.
I was gonna say if she
I
floats
mean, I
away,
thought
she's
Harry
eventually
Potter
gonna
was
pop.
about to be really based.
That is she's a jerk. Anyway, a nasty woman who is inflated with so much air that she becomes a balloon and in the movies
Yeah,
floats
see,
out of the
that's-
house. And other segments on why is his editor team saying that? Who watches Matt Walsh's editor team? Seriously? And other segments on his show and in shows following the initial statements against anime fans, Walsh doubled down on his related pop culture takes and separately took to task conservative fans of his who spend all day watching anime and being attracted to underage anime. Oh, Crimson, he's talking about you! Except the fan of Matt Walsh thing. Would you like to comment, good sir, on your entire topic?
But again, Matt Walsh has railed against Lord of the Rings. He's railed against Star Wars. You know, I mean, he's a troll. He did.
Does he ever talk about how Carrie Fisher was underage in Star Wars, and if you thought she was hot, you were a sick pedophile?
No, my issue with Matt Walsh is like I said, the whole Schrodinger's douchebag thing, but just the general
Is he
issue
here or is
of
he there? He's here.
it's the general issue of like conservative pundits just not realizing like if you really want to like convince the next generation of your politics and stuff, maybe stop maligning all of the things in pop culture that they like, especially when it does you no good to do so.
I believe the phrase you're looking for is culture is downstream from pop culture. Like what we consume as fans of hobbies or whatever will eventually affect the culture of society and will eventually
Politics
affect
is
us down the
downstream
line.
of culture, yes.
Well,
that is
society, everything is downstream.
No, and what conservatives have largely like failed to realize is how important that really is. I mean, Daily Wire has tried to
That's
produce
because
some
they don't
like,
have any culture. They think they
It-
have culture. They don't have culture.
yeah, Daily Wire and some of the other like conservative pundits have tried to produce stuff that they would like dub entertainment, but it's the same spiteful, politically motivated stuff that we all got sick of watching from the left years ago.
Mhm.
Like the New Norm show. I watched like a 2-minute clip of this of it, and I immediately was
Cool.
like, "This is the most cringe." It feels like SJW stuff, but like in opposite world. It
Yeah,
is the
the
exact
thing is,
same mentality behind it.
They feel that they need to go preach their soapbox that the left has been preaching on for the last several years, probably last decade or so, if not longer. And they feel like they need to stand on that soapbox and do the exact same thing, but in the opposite end, rather than making stuff that presents those values without being obvious about it. Like going out and just making a good space wizards with swords made of light type of show that's just good with good
Yeah, you
story with
get
good
Rebel Moon
morals.
instead.
I said a good show.
Yeah, but I said you
well-
get that instead of the good
Well,
one.
yeah, but I wouldn't say Zack Snyder's on the right either.
Here's one of like the issues is like a lot of people who are in like the entertainment sphere and stuff, people who are like big fans, people who do stuff like us who comment on all that thing kind of stuff. We're out here because we want to be left alone, and we're talking about how it's annoying that they won't leave us alone to enjoy our hobbies. The right's doing the exact same thing by basically pestering everyone with their politics and taking a syringe and injecting it into everything they touch. In this case, though, the right just very clearly hates everything that they are talking about.
But the left also does, so it's
Yes, but at least the left puts on the mask of pretending like they care about it. The right will just outright tell you they fucking hate it.
Yeah.
Well, a segment.
And they
of the
also
right.
hate everything. They don't hate just some things. They hate everything. Because here's the thing. Having a hobby is a good, healthy thing. To me, I find it weird when I meet people who don't have a hobby. It's like, so what do you do in your
or
free
they
time
just
for
don't
fun?
want to
They're
talk
like,
about it for you.
no. They just like, oh, I just kind of just sit around. I'm like,
Okay.
that's it. But then again, I'm a person who can't sit and do nothing. Like I have to do something, whether it be read a book, scroll through my phone, or do something. Like I have to do something at all times because my brain can't just stop thinking. It doesn't work that way. So I'm sitting there like I have lots of different things I can do to constantly keep myself busy mentally. Like I want something to challenge myself mentally. I want intellectual, I don't know, like debate or discussion between people and be like, is this anime better than this anime? Is this team better than this team? Are, these e-game teams going to be going to, whatever the final thing is, whatever the case might be. I want something to stir up some form of intellectual stimulation to make it just so I'm not just brain dead. I don't want to be brain dead. I don't want to sit on a couch and just watch people like run back and forth on a basketball court or on a football field, or watch them go in big squares on a baseball field, or a NASCAR go in a giant oval for 3,000 laps. Like,
I mean, every once in a while it could be interesting, but
yeah, every time you get
No,
every time you sit down to do that, you're like, there's a reason I stopped doing this. You get back up and you
I
leave
guess.
again. So it's just like there's just not a whole lot that's mentally stimulating in the world to keep you constantly learning and growing on things. And as a person who played sports, played video games, did all that fun stuff, has pretty good hand-eye coordination because of those things, that's something that I value. There's people I know that you could throw it, like just toss them like an eraser and they would not be able to catch it in the air because they don't have those comparable hand-eye coordination skills. They lack so much because they don't participate, because they have some misconception. Very much like the Satanic Panic with the whole Dungeons and Dragons. So they have no imagination, because imagination is what Dungeons and Dragons is all about. They don't have
also they don't understand that you actually fight the demons. You don't.
yeah,
s-
well,
you
that's
can
the same
summon them
thing for
technically.
bands like Demon Hunter. They're like, oh, so they're all about demons. I'm like, what part of Demon Hunter means they're about demons? I don't think you understand how words work.
It's red demon.
Listen to
then
their
stop
music where
reading.
they have songs literally titled stuff like Jesus Wept.
Pretty hardcore stuff too, or Cross to Bear. But yeah, like a whole bunch of like really hardcore stuff. And I'm gonna pop my finger movement right there, Mr. Triptych, or not Triptych. Brain farted. Holy smokes! My favorite band, and I just brain farted. True Defiance.
Nice.
My goodness.
Okay.
But yeah, Triptych's a different one. They use the same mascot. I can't remember his name though. It's like Evan or something. Anyway, all these different types of things, like they don't figure it out because they're not part of it. They don't want to interact with it. They don't want anything to do with it because they don't like it. That's the reason. Pokemon, literally animals with elemental powers that are like, it's like little demons and pocket monsters in your pocket that are going to turn your
Yeah,
kids into
because
heathens.
you have a demon. Wait, what?
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes.
They're all based on Asian gods and stuff.
Okay.
So
Is that
Have you ever zapped a mouse with electricity? Welcome to Pikachu.
a side question? Is that Pokemon game with a Pokemon in the real world still out there?
Were they Pokemon in the real world?
Well,
mean
you go, you're
Pokemon
like
Go?
your Poke, you go around and to the real
Pokemon
world.
Go?
You
polls.
Poke go to the polls or what? That one?
Yeah, I think Pokemon Go. That was
Hillary
what it was
Clinton,
called.
Pokemon go to the polls.
Yeah.
Was it
That
Pokemon Go?
is
Was that what it was
probably
called?
pretty sure
still
that
out there, but
lost
I
her
don't know how
votes
many people
just from that phrase alone.
still play it. Yeah, no.
Imagine being like, yeah, Hillary, yeah, abortion, yeah, all this stuff. And then all of a sudden she's like, Pokemon go to the polls. Like, all right, I'm out. I'm done.
Yeah. No, that would be an instant turn off.
I would laugh if Trump had said something like that. That cringe. Just watch the entire fan base just disappear instantly. It's like, don't ever say that. That's not like Barron would literally like strangle his dad if that was the case. It's like, why did you say that? But no, there's just so many things that the Satanic Panic brings upon, but people haven't gotten over the Satanic Panic, and they have to look for new things. They're doing this whole witch hunt thing where they have to go out and find actual things to complain about, rather than being like, actually, this isn't the way it actually was taught to me, and
To be fair,
I
though,
could have been wrong.
A modern D&D doesn't help its case by making the tieflings very important in their imaging.
But it's an imaginative world in a fantasy realm
Yeah.
in which
But now the
you're not
demons are the
supposed,
good guys.
but they're not
Well, modern-
demons. They're tieflings.
Modern D&D sucks.
There's demons and
compared to
devils
thing,
are
old
totally
D&D.
different
right?
categories.
Yeah, but have you seen the Asmodeus picture in the new book?
I have not touched anything new Wizards of the Coast because it's trash.
That's fair. That's fair.
So I have the Player's Handbook digital on my computer, and that's all I need because it's the only one I need use. Until they come out with a different version from somebody else, possibly. Maybe something beyond 5th edition, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. But yeah.
Nope.
Satanic Panic's always retarded. Shocking, I know.
Mhm.
Let's see. Well, I guess Crimson, do you want to talk about the took to task conservative fans of his who spend all day watching anime and being attracted to underage anime girls.
What? What's
Really, that's such a vague statement. I don't know where to begin. Do we need to talk about the issue of okay, well, define what you're talking about when it comes to underaged
Welcome back, Matt.
anime girls? What are we talking about here? Give me an
Mhm.
example. Your attraction, your idea of an under.
I guess you could just go watch your Iridius Grey Rat video, right, and get a whole discussion.
Because
Yeah.
if they look like they're young, they are young because he doesn't understand the concept of
No, but there's
3,000
secretly
years.
a 500-year-old dragon. That's how that works, right?
Well, okay.
Okay, so
I'll give you a counter. Sorry, I was going to say. I was going to put this out there though to think about before we get there. Remember the movie Big?
No.
No.
Tom Hanks. He was a little kid who got a wish, and
I remember hearing about it. I never saw it.
okay. So the premise of the movie, they made a lot of money. Is the little kid goes to like a dilapidated like carnival and makes a
Okay.
wish, and he wakes up and he's an adult. Okay, and he goes on an adventure for a week or two as a little kid trapped in an adult's body. And one of the things that happens, he sleeps with the woman. Okay, and
Okay.
and now he's a little kid. He's 10 years old. Okay, so
Mhm.
no one in America or the world. Well, not no one, but like only 10% of us. So wait a minute, she's sleeping with the 10-year-old.
Well, that's because it doesn't work that way. It's
but she
only it's
doesn't know
only
that.
it's only if it was a girl being trapped in an adult girl's body sleeping with a guy. Then it's the guy's fault.
No, the point I'm getting at is like when you bring up like stuff with like a 500-year-old dragon in the body of a 15-year-old girl and all that,
Mhm.
like in anime, or
Or the
Tenchi
character that's
Muyo,
interested in her is only like 16, but
or,
he looks like a
or,
32-year-old.
or Tenchi Muyo, where one of the princesses is like 10,000 years old, but she looks like she's 12 or whatever, like they don't they only bring up stuff that selectively supports their case, and then
Yeah.
no, as far as being attracted to underage anime goes, well, a large section of people who watch anime are actually teens themselves. First of
Mhm.
all, like shonen is the single most popular marketing bracket for anime and manga, which is young men
Well,
age
yeah.
like 13 to 18. So a lot of this stuff is generally designed for them. Okay. I mean, not there are some things in there where like it's questionable whether you should actually be showing your kids manga with actual boobs hanging out in it. Like
Mhm.
all like full on like
To be
free the nips
fair,
kind
but
of
that
stuff.
was really popular back in like the
I guess
90s.
Fairy Tale
That
is a
was-
bit borderline,
Yeah.
maybe.
No, I mean like full on free the nips, not just like she's in a
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so this is a 14-year-old.
I
Yep.
don't believe that.
well, okay.
That's a 14-year-old in Bleach. That right there, he's also like 6'8". This dude's a monster, and you're like, yeah, no. There's no
Wait,
14-year-old.
if you could
he's
bring
smaller
up
than
Ana
Rand.
Yamada
Wow.
from I believe that actually that should just bring it up.
What is
If you
it?
look up the character Ana Yamada, she's effectively like this, I don't know, 15, 16-year-old chick who
How do you
looks like she
spell? Oh, Hana Yamada.
ANNA
You talking
and then
the actress?
no,
Oh, the
it
character.
should be an anime character.
Oh, well, apparently they made a live action, I guess. But
I believe
From
it's a
which
pretty common
anime?
name because
I'm
Yamada
hoping
just means mountain.
I'm hoping this is the right one.
Mountains
Is
are,
it from the
I
from the
guess.
Dangers of My Heart, girl?
yes.
Okay, that would have made much more sense.
Sorry,
Do you want the
I don't know
spicy
who's
video?
what.
Do you want the spicy picture? Or the not
No,
spicy?
just an average picture, please.
Okay, well, let me find one because they're all figurines. I don't know why.
Can't you just go to the wiki and get like the character page image?
Well,
I'm assuming it has a wiki because every anime these days has.
I was trying to find one of the ones where she's like kind of just like a college kid because.
Well, while you're doing that, I'll put a biological hypothesis out there. Okay. So let's say you're at the beach and you're about 50, 60 feet away from a group of 100 women playing beach volleyball. And they're all wearing
Where is
bikinis
this coming from all of a sudden?
and they're all in great physical shape, right? You're
Okay,
far enough
yeah.
away you can't see their face. Okay. They range in age from 15 to 55. Okay.
Okay.
Your biological male body won't be able to tell the difference between a 17-year-old and a 30-year-old, but you can't see their face. So you have a biological reaction to someone's physical appearance is a natural thing. It's how you behave that's the issue. You know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, that's effectively the point I'm making is the character I was talking about is specifically someone who is much younger than she appears, and that's kind of a part
Well,
of the whole
I got
story of the
two.
series.
So here's one. This is the live action rendition
I think
from
that
like a
might just be
cosplay.
like
It's a
a
cosplay, I
normal.
think. But no,
Mm.
it's based off of the Dangers of My Heart because they have the short guy with the tall girl kind of a thing. That's like supposed to be the comparison of the two, but the actual appearance would be more akin to this, where she looks very much grown up comparatively. And the kid, granted, is pretty short, but she's also much taller than most of the other kids. And when she
Mhm.
dresses up in normal clothes, because she does, I think, modeling is a part-time thing or whatever.
She is a part-time model, yes.
So she does modeling and whatnot, and then she wears like college age kind of clothes. She gets mistaken for a college student constantly, and it's just like she's a different character in that regard, where her representation doesn't necessarily match. So if the author didn't tell you, oh, she's what 12, 13, 14, I think she's what 13,
15.
15, 15.
It's the beginning of high school, so
If
15.
if he didn't tell you, oh, this is a 15-year-old, you'd probably be like, she looks older than a 15-year-old, just initially going in there. And if the author had said, this is a 26-year-old, you wouldn't have questioned it. You would have just said, yeah,
Mhm.
makes sense.
To be
Because
fair,
well,
that's what
it also depends a lot on art style if you can recognize that or not.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, and
sometimes it's just really difficult.
we
I mean,
can
chibi is one
take
of
the
those things very
whole
difficult to tell.
we can take the whole charade even farther and pull up like Tatsumaki from One Punch Man. That's a thing.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
she
yeah.
does not look like she's 28 years old.
What's-
Definitely not no. Her sister, however.
What's her name again?
Tatsumaki.
Tatsumaki.
Oh, there it is.
My screen's bugging out here. There we go.
I'm trying to see if there's a comparison. Oh, here's a good one. That's so
There are
funny.
lots of let's call it not safe for work memes.
Yeah, well, she's a very, very popular character.
This is her. I think they're trying to get it to where she's younger or something, but that's literally what she just looks like normally all the time.
That's just an average image of the character, yes. So if you want to
No,
talk,
she doesn't look angry enough.
Well,
no, she generally does look indifferent until
found her
Saitama's
sister.
around, and then she's pissed.
well, here, let me. I got two of them to kind of tell the difference because she's the older sister,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and okay, so this is what she
Doesn't
looks.
look like
This
it.
is what she looks like in the anime,
Okay.
I
but
feel like
she's
that
short.
one's a
She's really
yes.
short.
Yeah, this is not a great representation, I think.
Yeah, that one's not really a
You
great
thinking is
This
the
one
dangerous
looks
part.
weird.
I've also not put into like,
The facial structure is all different from how it's supposed to look.
well, maybe this one is probably more accurate in that regard. Better?
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much seems accurate.
Yep. So she's the older sister to this.
Yeah.
You're like, how? It's just the way it is.
Well,
It's
genetics works in mysterious
one of those
ways.
things where when it comes to this kind of stuff, there's two different kinds of attraction. There is like, oh, this is a character I like because their personality is pleasant and all that. And then there's the Fubuki part of it where like, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, she got some nice tits.
Well, but just because you find someone physically attractive, fictional or real, doesn't mean you need to do something like physically immorally horrible about it. You know?
Yeah, that's one of the things that I mentioned in a video I did somewhat recently. Is it a crime to think?
Yes.
Because I mean, you can literally line someone, like you said earlier, you can line a bunch of people up of different ages and play the whole guessing game of, okay, well, is it a crime to think that they're all attractive, even though some of them are going to be like, or even though some of them are below the age of consent here in the United States? Does that mean you automatically want to sleep with them or do things that are
Well,
not
and granted,
legal?
the age of consent is going to be varied amongst all the states, so it's going to be even more confusing.
Well, that's why I went from 15 to 55 with the sample.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's what I'm saying. Is like it's so random for the dumbest like whatever the laws are in the different places, they're going to have their own thing. it is what it is.
Like,
But to imply that nowadays, as opposed to like the earlier years, girls now grow at supernatural rates. Like you have girls that are like 14 that look like they're mid to late
Well,
20s.
because we have
Physique
purified
wise.
food.
We have what?
Compared to what our ancestors did, we have purified food.
Yeah, that might be the case. And if
Yeah.
if that is the case, if somebody's going around and they see somebody who looks in their 20s and like, oh wow, she's really good looking, and then you find out she's underage, well, you didn't commit a crime because you found her attractive because of what you presumed her age was. You didn't look at her and say, I bet she's 12. Like that's not what you did.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, she's really cute. Or is it going to now be a problem to go around and say, oh, this girl's cute, or this girl's hot, or this girl's sexy, or this girl's beautiful, whatever the case might be? Because you have to go up to somebody and say, can I see your license? That's kind of an odd thing to approach somebody with and be like, I need to know if you're actually legal so I can actually confirm whether or not I should have physical feelings for you.
well, then it becomes like if you say someone is pretty, okay, is that like, oh, you're attracted to a minor? Ooh.
And that's a sexual harassment.
Well,
these
but
days.
like even
Yeah, but
saying,
nowadays,
Fair. I forgot about
nowadays you
that.
got to ID your person you're dating because there are people out there looking to,
well, imagine seeing somebody
honeypot, so to
and then
speak.
not knowing like
You also have to ID them for different reasons.
Yeah.
well, imagine like dating somebody for like 5 years and then finding out that she's only in like the last 2 years actually been legal because her appearance and the way she's been living and the way she behaves is way above what her actual age is.
Yeah.
For whatever the reasons, and there could have been a lot of circumstances that pushed that advancement. But being like completely caught off guard and then being like, I'm not a pervert. I just this completely happened on accident. And what happened? And you got, I mean, we already have a problem with guys now being like, I'm done with girls, especially in like America and the West and stuff, because girls are just making it worse, especially when they do the Liz Wheeler mentality of like, if they play video game, it's a hard turnoff, or they have to make 6 figures and be over 6 feet tall, or blah 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 blah.
To
guess
be
I got
fair,
one of
both
those things
sexes
going for
have
me.
their unrealistic expectations. It's
Sure.
just we make fun of women a lot more because theirs seem much more ridiculous.
Well, yeah, because men can be like, yeah, I'm a 3, and then the girl's like, he's like a 7, and then you ask the girl, what are you? I'm a 10, and then they go to the other guy like, she's like a 2.
Well,
my God.
women's physical standards are have a 6-pack and be 6 foot tall. Men's physical standards are generally just don't be fat.
Oh my God! Do you
I
guys,
mean, my standards have always been be
Except,
proportionate. but-
in certain places.
I don't watch it all the time. It's called the Whatever podcast or something like that.
Oh, yeah, I know.
And I watch clips from it. And every so often there's a clip where the women rate themselves on a scale of 1 to 10, and the men rate themselves, and then they rate each other on a scale of 1 to 10.
Yeah.
And all the women are like, I'm a 9, I'm a 10, I'm a 9, I'm a 10.
I'm a
Even the
catch,
hideous,
and they're
even
not.
the hideous, the ugly ones, And then the dudes are like, she's a 4, she's a 6.
Yeah, and it's just it's an ego hit to the women because all they have is their looks. They don't have the personality. They have only the
But
looks.
the thing is, here's the trick. The dudes are honest about themselves. Like, if a dude's at 5, he'll say, I'm a 5, I'm a 4, whatever. But the women, they'll downgrade the dude and say he's a 5, but they'll call themselves a 10 when they weigh 600 pounds. Women are crazy with that stuff.
That's because they're very fragile when it comes to appearances. So, and the other side of things, the men who go out and say, I'm a 10 out of 10 are the guys you don't want to be dating. So,
Oh yeah, they're fucking douchebags.
but if like for example, let's assume, I don't know, Crimson Yamada from Dangers of My Heart. If you saw her walking down the street, keep in mind she is a part-time model. She is huge for her age. Like amongst the other girls, she's like a head.
She's taller than some of the guys in the series in her
Yeah,
class. It's
she's huge, and that's one of the reasons the main character's like, I gotta kill her. That never panned out in any. I was expecting a totally different plot line for that, and it just totally went the other direction. But
he's a real fucking knucklehead is what he is.
He is, but it's actually a very good series. I love that series. But if you saw her walking in the street, she's got large breasts. She's got a pretty good sized butt. She's tall. She looks like a college kid. She dresses like a college kid. Sometimes she even dresses like a working woman, like a blue collar working woman. Like she like dresses just like somebody you'd expect that's in their 30s and is still single. Like, you would not know the difference. So if you've ever seen somebody like that, but then they come and talk to you, she's not going to say she's a 10. She's going to be very sweet. She's going to want to make sure you're having a good day. She's got the personality and the looks. But then you're like, if I was her age, totally. I'm not her age, so no, kind of a thing. And it's just like, that's what guys want. They want that personality, and the looks are almost secondary. Now, I will say attraction, like love and attraction are two different things, and thus they have entirely different roles to play, and you need both. So you could love somebody with personality and all that jazz, but you need the attraction for the biology aspect of things. But when you have both, you've got gold. When you're missing one, like they have the looks but they have no personality, you're gonna be hurting. But if you also have the other side where you have the personality but you don't have the looks, you'll last longer than the other one. But because men are naturally attracted to good looking things, like they want a good looking woman.
Yeah, beauty is nice.
If a woman becomes less beautiful over time, they're not going to be as attracted. Yeah. That biological engine's not going to start.
Have you guys ever seen the skit? It's about 20 years old now. Hotness versus craziness. The hotness versus crazy. Graph with the engineer.
No, but hot and crazy usually go hand in hand.
Yeah.
No, it is the ratio of hot to crazy, and it basically breaks down like this is the dating range. Yeah, anyone who's been on the internet has seen that.
Yeah. See, that's kind of what he's talking about, So
I mean, I'm just like super weird. I know, shocking to everyone. And if my wife hadn't said yes, I probably would still be single these 7-8 years later. And it's just because I kind of got over women really fast because women were just being scumbags, which I know is weird because usually it's the men who are the scumbags, but not in my case. And in that regard, it's just like I would be really, really picky. I'd want somebody who would, game with me, watch anime, do the similar things I like, but not be a mere copy image of me. And there's so few of that kind of a girl existing that you'd have so many guys fighting over the small pool of girls that they would be gone immediately. But I don't think that's something that's going to be a massive, like, I'd find it weird to like be a jock and marry somebody who has zero interest in sports. But then I think about Sakamoto Days and I'm like, you have this, he's a hitman. And then this random girl at the grocery store says, hi, how you doing? It's like, oh, I'm going to have then they get married. It's just like, okay. And he retires from being a hitman. It's just like, that's crazy love right there. But I wouldn't say that being a hitman was his hobby, but
well, there's your John Wick story, my friend. John Wick.
I know, but in this case, he doesn't do the right thing and kill everybody. He just demobilize. And heroism is so watered down these days. We can't kill anybody. That's bad.
Yeah,
freaking bull crap.
That part of Sakamoto Days just really fucking bugs me. Like
it irritates me. I haven't even watched a single episode of it, but I've seen enough clips. I'm just like, this would be so freaking cool if he just.
Are you even remotely familiar with the function of firearms? Like how they work now?
Should be.
Then you will also be.
I live in America. What are you talking about? Of course,
you will also be pissed off when the guy manually rechambers a semi-automatic pistol and fires a 3-round burst bolt-action sniper rifle.
No magic?
Oh, also he cocked the taser at one point.
I mean, to be fair, you can do that on certain tasers, but it is funny because it's like. Japan's not very familiar with firearms. But you think
but in every other series I've seen, they did better than that.
Oh, yeah. Like, Trigun was really good. But you'd think that if you're going to be basing most of your series off of firearms, you might bring in somebody who knows something about firearms. Like, if I'm going to write a story about the Wall Street, I'm probably going to bring in somebody who's familiar with Wall Street. I know, call me crazy, but you get people who know what they're talking about to do things.
But why do that when you can just make it all up?
Because that's a lot of extra work.
Just look it up on the internet. I'm sure it's right.
Yeah, exactly.
The entire world outside of freaking America is anti-gun, and they have such good opinions on how guns should function. Needless to say, I really want to see that. I don't know if any of you guys watch Korean movies, but The Company Man was a great movie. and it's basically a hitman that kind of like retires as a hitman, has to kill his entire company he works for to
Damn.
keep people safe that he cares about, and he doesn't completely succeed, sadly, but he also kind of dies in the process. But it's freaking.
Spoilers.
It's like John. Everybody dies. What are you talking about? Equilibrium was also a really good one. But you know, like, oh, he's a hero. He beat the bad guys in Equilibrium, but he didn't kill anybody. No, he killed lots of people. He killed lots of people. Is he less of a hero because he killed lots of people? No. But people, I think comic books have done this to people, and this is full offense to Gary and and everybody else who likes comics. You're the reason heroes can't kill nobody no more.
Nah, I would disagree.
Of course you would, you comic lover.
Not because of that, because like I think it depends on the setting, and I don't think comic books close that because there are many, many books where the heroes don't kill people. Man, there were TV shows where the hero restricts, with out of way not to kill people. Not just in Western, even in Westerns where, like, they minimize the amount of shooting and whatever. Like
until Clint Eastwood came along.
it became a very well, yeah, that's true in a sense. There was a cultural shift. I want to say starting like in like the Victorian age, where killing in Western civilization became barbaric, was considered to be something barbaric.
Yeah, when the barbarians come in and say killing is barbaric, you're screwed.
No, I mean, if you follow the cultural shift when the Victorian era happened, a lot of like
yeah, the cultural shift with the barbarians took over.
Things became romanticized and all that sort of stuff, and it just got the worst case. It got the worst case of it being probably in the 1990s and 2000s or whatever,
Yeah, I just considering the typical concept of a hero, all the way back from the Greeks, being somebody who overcomes some trial or tribulation to succeed. That's what a hero was. And then now it's like, well, a hero is the guy who does the right thing. And it's like, no, that's not the hero. Doesn't mean you can't have like the Superman that's hope filled. You can't have that type of stuff. But at the same time, trying to say, well, we actively avoided this character doing this because we don't want him to be this. And it's like, but that's the definition of a hero. Like, I would consider Punisher more heroic than Batman because Batman doesn't stop crime. He temporarily causes a ceasefire. They come back out and they do more harm. Punisher puts him in the ground and then finds the next idiot who decides to go into crime.
I got into that conversation on Twitter because I really do like Batman, but I think the no-kill rule is kind of retarded if you think it. And like the moment you start thinking about it, it's retarded.
It's not for Batman as a particular character, and I've said this again and again.
But the moment you think about it from a comic book's perspective, where you have to sell multiple copies in the future as well, it makes perfect sense.
Well, hold on. The real reason is because the creators of Batman didn't feel right having Batman kill people when having a kid as a sidekick. He actually did kill people up until the point where Robin was introduced into the series.
Yeah.
Robin should never have existed. That's all I'm saying.
Well, Mickey Mouse killed people before it became very widespread too.
Based.
There was that Victorian spreading of that time period of killing was considered kind of down. But the Batman interpretation for the past, let's say 40, 50 years of comics is the character is psychologically bound that once he kills one person, he'll kill them all. Like no stop.
That's the problem, though, is that's a faulty line of reasoning.
But that's the way the character is constructed.
Well, I know that's how the character is constructed. I'm saying you have to be kind of stupid to think that's a logical thing to put into your story. But lock a character into it, and then be like, no one's going to question this and say, why is that so stupid and why is it in this?
Because that's exactly the way the character is created to be.
I know, but that I don't want to have blood on my hands, so I'm going to let other people do it for me. Is kind of the mentality because he doesn't kill anybody, but he does.
Batman doesn't kill anyone. Then why doesn't Superman? I mean, he could rule the world with an iron fist.
Well, he could, but he was raised in Kansas, yo. That's the point. Is that being raised by moral people helps you not become the dickwad. It's literally that simple. When you're raised by somebody who has no morals, you become that person's like, I can rule the galaxy. That's Palpatine, for crying out loud, was probably raised by liberal parents. But The point being is that when you have people with power, like Spider-Man, Superman, like real power, and have control of their abilities, they know what they should or shouldn't do. They don't need a stupid thing saying, "Oh, as soon as I kill somebody, I'll be just like them." Yes, somebody going in and murdering millions of people. If I kill one person, I literally killed millions of people. That is the dumbest thing you could put in the thing. Now, I am aware that is part of his story. I think it's a very dumb part of his story, and I think it's dumb that they came up with the idea to begin with. That's what I'm critiquing. Not
Well,
that
that's
it is
but
the way
just
it
be
is.
aware that's you have a niche opinion on that.
I don't think it's a niche opinion when I can come across people who think, yeah, that's kind of a strange position.
Well,
to
we
hold.
can test it in the marketplace. Do characters like the one you're talking about sell more than Batman or Superman? And the answer is no.
Well, yes, normies aren't notorious for being intelligent.
But see, now you're doing an hominem attack on people who disagree with you.
No. I'm saying even if they were to agree with me, normies, people who are outside of the area,
Yeah, but normies
typically
don't
have
really
bad
buy comic
takes.
books.
Well, they sometimes do when a movie comes out.
Sometimes, sure, but not for the
But if
most
I was
part.
to go to a Batman fan and I said, "What do you think about the no-kill rule?" They're probably going to wax eloquent about, it's a good thing because he'd become a bad person. But if I said, well, give me an intellectual standpoint from this, like show me how this logically follows from any outworking of how this actually helps him be a good person or do the right thing, quote unquote, because he actually always causes more harm than good in every scenario.
But he doesn't.
But he does. Stopping a person who's already been murdering and killing people, putting them in prison.
They don't write the universe that way. In other words, they write the universe as if his actions are better than if he did it the other way.
Well, they can say that, but if somebody gets back out and kills more people, every person.
But for the most part, they don't.
How many times is Joker, Scarecrow,
Yeah, but that's
Penguin,
only
and everybody get out of prison?
Those are the exceptional villains, and the Joker he literally can't be killed.
I mean, he can.
No, he can't.
He's not.
Wait,
He is. He'll always manifest.
What do you mean he always manifests?
There's a supernatural aspect to Gotham City.
Okay, that just sounds like whack job writing right there.
They added that into
DC is kind of
that generally does sound like absolute bullshit.
Yeah, that sounds like if the Joker were to die, the Joker would pop into somebody else and take over.
To explain why Superman, because Metropolis is like right next door to Gotham, and Superman keeps it like squeaky clean. Why he doesn't go in and insta clean Gotham up?
Because the Joker
the supernatural presence, which makes it hard for him to operate there.
That is horrible writing. Oh my god!
No, it's not. If you have Superman who can literally, like globally police the world in a nanosecond.
I guess you would need a reason to keep it crime infested.
Maybe. You could just have, I don't know, villains that could do the actual damage to him come into play.
There's no, the way Superman is written, there's no conventional villains who can harm him. Except just because of his speed, leaving aside the invulnerability, he can literally move so fast that you can't react. No, even you. It's insane how fast Superman moves.
Yes, but at the same time, if you introduce a character that's literally a copy paste of him by default,
well, those are Superman villains.
Or if you have the Lex Luthor type character that does what Batman does and has a backup for every person in the Justice League, blah 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 blah. If Batman can stop Superman, I'm pretty sure a villain could probably come up with it.
Batman can't stop Superman.
Huh?
Batman can't stop Superman.
Well, according to Batman and every Batman stan I've ever come across,
according to the actual main continuity,
I don't think Batman stans are good.
Batman came up with a plan.
Batman stans aren't good by general.
They actually did this as a storyline, okay, in the main DCU, not the alternate universes or whatever, but in the main DCU. They called Brother Odd that Bruce Wayne invented, and he put a plan in to beat every superhero on the planet, but he couldn't come up with a plan to beat Superman.
Just stick him with kryptonites.
Well, Superman was becoming immune to kryptonite by that point.
Wait, is that illegal?
So basically,
bad story writing right there.
So basically, what you're saying is comic books running way too long for their own good write themselves into corners and come up with bullshit to get out of it.
No, this is the point you need to understand. See, again, you're doing an ad hominem attack on the writer again. Okay,
that's not an ad hominem. That's saying it's a bad way of writing.
If they are a bad writer, it's not an ad hominem to call them a bad writer.
When you put a character in a story, the character's setup is part of the story. So if the setup of the story is that killing always makes things worse, then the character, it's part of the premise of the story. Okay, so you can't say, "Well, he should kill them," because the story isn't set up that way.
So when the
So that's
Punisher,
like saying,
when the Punisher
that's
comes
like
into
saying-
Batman's universe and kills criminals, you're saying it's worse because all I can see is it getting better.
but they wouldn't write it that way.
That was literally a crossover comic, Batman versus Superman, or Batman versus Punisher, because the Punisher was trying to kill Joker, and Batman had to hold or basically fight the Punisher to keep him off the Joker, and Joker was actually terrified because he knew Frank Castle wasn't dicking around. That's literally a comic.
Yeah, it is. That's from the '80s, but those aren't main continuity.
Okay, well,
Still
it
better
doesn't
story.
matter. It doesn't matter whether it's main continuity or not. It matters, does it make sense to write it this way? No. No,
To
it
you.
doesn't.
To
Because
you.
it also
No, it's just bad.
In your opinion,
No,
we're gonna keep going back to this.
no. If you go to
Okay,
writing school,
it-
they'll be like, "Don't do this thing, don't do this thing." You can't go to the teacher and
it's
say, "Well, in
bad
your
in-
opinion."
Now you're
No,
making
there's
a claim. You're
it
making
can
a
be
claim,
good to
so
make
provide
a
evidence.
character
Find me a
immune
writing
to
school that
his
would say
one
that.
and only weakness that makes him balanced. That's
Also,
good
writing
writing.
schools aren't that good anymore, so
yeah, they're pretty much dead nowadays.
Again, that's you have not read a lot of Superman. If you think that's his one and only weakness.
Well, if he had plenty of weaknesses, then I'm pretty sure they would be exploited.
Oh,
and
he
even
does.
Batman would be
Magic,
able- and even
magic
Batman
is a
would be able to stop him.
weakness. Other characters similar power sets are a weakness. Exploiting.
I don't
like
know if
Lex
it's a
Luthor
weakness
does.
as much as he's just not as overpowered as to a normal
Lex
person.
Luthor using his intelligence to exploit Superman's circumstances is a weakness.
Well, yeah, that's what a supervillain's supposed to do. But here's the problem: is that if you have a supervillain who always loses, mind you, he's not really that good of a supervillain because he always
Again,
loses.
Most supervillain wins, other than Doctor Doom, are off screen.
And they're not recorded either because they don't exist
Well,
in
no,
the
they'll
world.
mention them. You'll like for example, Luthor. You'll hear about Luthor Corp, an intergang, having stolen $20 billion or the last week or whatever. They never show it, but they just tell you what happened.
And then tell you the part where Superman breaks into his vault because it's not a big deal to him, and he steals all the billions of dollars and takes it back to the bank where he's supposed to.
But he
Because that
doesn't.
happened off screen.
But he doesn't because he can't find the vault.
I mean, he could if he tried.
Well, he can't because Luthor knows how to hide stuff.
If it's on the Earth, he has X-ray.
It
He
doesn't
can
have to
find
be on
it.
Earth.
My
Luthor can put it in another
point on
dimension.
this is if
X-ray
you're
isn't a
playing
magical
whack-a-mole,
thing that makes
trying
you.
to
We're in a
take
magical
out
universe,
every-
Sage. Anything's
Okay,
magical.
fair enough.
Well, Luthor could put it in another dimension.
DC is effectively playing, or the comic books in general are effectively playing whack-a-mole, trying to solve all of the problems that are brought up by their long-running continuities. They don't have an end. They're going to continue to sell and sell and sell. They have to stick with these characters. That's why all this stuff gets happening, and the power scaling just gets broken. That's one of the big issues I have with DC and Marvel in general, is they just keep running to the point where they've played the whack-a-mole game of, oh, well, we need to do this and this and this, trying to keep all the threads completely intact to the point where all of a sudden you can't really do much because now you've eliminated all of your options through playing this game of whack-a-mole, solving weaknesses, solving strengths, and all that stuff.
It's the problem with the Marvel
not
movies.
good writing.
It's the problem with Marvel movies too, because the Marvel movies should have been more one-on-one, like Captain America versus Red Skull. Maybe have another, like have like a trilogy series and have one of the movies.
I mean, that's
have
mostly the
Winter Soldier.
case, right? In the first half.
Well, I know that's what I'm saying, but I'm saying like a full movie, but have this for each of the individual characters. They got to Infinity Wars and Endgame super fast in the grand scheme of things. Like they have a lot of characters in the Marvel universe. They got through like a very small portion of them before they hit this penultimate point where you have literally galaxies being destroyed. Like we should still be fighting bank robbers, guys. Like we shouldn't be here yet. We should be fighting the normal bad guys. Like Red Skull just wants to do sciencey bad stuff to people and do bad stuff, right? You got other characters who want to do bad stuff because they have their own personal, like, I want this, I want that, or I want to take over a local country or a small country or whatever, or I want to build a secret base on an island. Like we skipped all the classical like stamp points for any like story, whether it be comic books or otherwise nowadays. Most of it's comic books, but like we're running out of places to do basic normal stuff. Like there's a I think
Well,
Yeah,
they
I
don't.
can
They
see
don't.
that.
Thing is, they don't make movies about that. Like most of the Marvel
it
movies.
would
And,
still be fun. We'd still be anticipating Infinity War and Endgame at some point in the future, knowing it would be here. We'd anticipate
Well,
an
okay.
actual Civil War movie with an actual Civil War rather than just
Well, Civil War-
5v5.
as a comic series and as a movie, Civil War sucked. That's aside. You know.
Well, I'm saying like having the theme where you have Cap and Iron Man. I forgot his name. All of a sudden. I only think Robert Downey Jr. I don't even think his name. But Iron
Well,
Man versus Cap, and having an ideological opposing sides. I mean, that's a good story. Having the people join each side, good story. But there's like hundreds on each side. Whereas it gets really complicated inside of each of those factions. But in the actual movie, they're like, yeah, it's like 5v5 essentially. And it's like, that's not satisfying at all. It's like watching The Hobbit battle the five armies and then noticing the five armies are like 1,000 people each. That's extremely
I
disappointing.
mean, to be fair, the elves and dwarves were kind of low in number.
I
the
mean,
movie.
they had one full-size army from, was it the Blue Mountains? Or was it the Iron Mountains?
I
forget which
mean,
mountain it was from.
it's very small. I don't know.
Well, yeah,
if
the
I would
orcs
call
are
that
the
a
only
full
really
army.
large army there.
Well, the orcs were the large army. The humans were the smallest for obvious reasons. But
Yeah, they had like 5 guys.
not that small. Maybe 50 to 100 or something. But like having the Battle of the Five Armies, it's not really a Battle of the Five Armies, it's like a battle of an army versus a bunch of pockets of resistance would be what the actual name of the series was if it was based off of what the movies did. We didn't get hardly Beorn. We see him for maybe 5 to 10 seconds in that film.
Well, that's a whole other issue with how bad those movies were.
But that's what I'm saying, though, is that they waste the opportunities. They wasted the opportunity to play with Cap, Iron Man, Tony Stark. I remember his name. With Ant-Man, Ant-Man went down the wrong rabbit hole, atomic rabbit hole. Doctor Strange, like we only get like 1 or 2 movies, and then they pop out the super biggest, humongous, big baddest guys ever is popping out, and I don't even think we've come across Galactus yet, or have already done.
Well,
was Galactus after? Is Galactus
there's
after
no-
Infinity War and Endgame?
Galactus is going to be coming up in the Russo brothers movies, is my understanding. Okay.
But why do
but
I have to?
their
Why do I have to
plans-
look at that and say like that's even a bit problem? Because
In the wave
It
that
won't be.
failed, right? Galactus was supposed to be the end of that wave. So
Oh,
they
which wave
scrapped
is
that
this?
entire, like the wave that we're in now, that there's all the woke movies. Galactus
Oh,
was
yeah.
the end of that wave. So they wiped out all of those plans, and they fired all the woke writers. And the movies that's spinning out now, like that Captain America film, are the last remnants of those woke writers. And the Russos are taking the scripting for what's going on now, which is going to be kind of like fudging and ignoring this wave as much as they can. And like there's 2 Avengers films, which are going to be the centerpieces of the wave, and Galactus is supposed to be like the second one.
see, but I don't know if you guys. I mean, probably not Sage or Law, but Matt, you might remember the Superman cartoon from like 1940 something.
Oh hell yeah!
When he's like fighting,
Fleischer films.
he fights the mad scientist who has the death ray and like shoots
In
the
the
big
Fleischer
tower.
movies, where Superman actually gained the ability to fly for the first time in the Fleischer
like,
films.
I had that. My dad had that on VHS with also like the other half of it was the black and
If
white
you're
live
interested-
action. Freaking great! It's on YouTube. I know that, but
Well, if you're interested, I have the high def remaster in you know where.
okay, I'll take it a look.
Yeah.
But that was like he's stopping a mob plan. He's stopping a mad scientist. Like that's what we should be getting. Like for Batman, we should be getting a TV show, not movies. We should be getting a TV show where he goes and he solves crimes. Like he's a detective.
I don't disagree
Like
conceptually.
that's what keeps him longevity. You have the
Yes.
build-up be very, very, very slow. And then once you get to the Justice League, same thing for Superman. Once you get to the Justice League, now you're dealing with outer space and other planets and galactic stuff. But then you don't just jump to like these planet or galaxy ending threats, because once you beat the galaxy ending threat, nothing else is serious.
See, what I might disagree with you
Then
is
you just
at
have
the end of
another
Avengers
character named
Endgame,
Red.
they should have did a
But
hard
they
reboot, different actors, start all over. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
And
then we're
then
gonna just see the same stuff over and over again. We don't want it that.
well,
We
no,
want
but
new
you,
stories.
there are literally like 1,000 adaptable stories. They can start with maybe a different Captain America origin, or something like that, or there's ways they can
See,
work with
I
this.
want one origin, and I want it to be a good origin, and then I want everything afterwards to fall in line with that origin. I don't want 20 different movies by 20 different
Or don't
directors by
have an
20 different
origin.
studios.
You don't have to have an origin.
Well, sometimes you do because you want to know why is Cap the morally upstanding person he is, and kills people. There you go.
But
how did he manage to pull this off in a world that's like he went from people being back in like obviously the 40s and whatnot for people being more or less more upstanding to a world in
well,
modern times where they're like being
Captain
upstanding is
America,
rare.
Captain America is where he doesn't kill people outside of war.
Well,
Also, he is
enemies,
like
but yeah.
morally exceptional.
Yeah.
But
Even in
that's
his
because
time.
of his origin story. He grew up being like, I need to stand up for the little guy. I need to protect the innocent. I need to attack the bad guys. Like the whole mental thought process is what is explained in the origin story. Because otherwise, I don't know why the guy's acting or behaving the way the guy's acting or behaving.
Well,
I
maybe
can't tell you.
watch the movie.
It's the same
Watch the movie.
whatever. Well, yeah, but when you watch the movie, you see a guy who's a nice guy, who's upstanding, but you don't know why. Like, was he raised? Like, that's the same thing with Superman. Why does Superman not take over everything? It's not because he doesn't feel like it. It's not because he's lazy. It's because he was raised better than that.
Okay, let me put it this way: the reason my favorite thing in all of comic history is All Star Superman, the comic series. Okay, and the origin of Superman in that series is given by one page, and so Grant Morrison did not have to retell the entire history of Superman's origin with the last son of Krypton, blah blah blah. It was like 6 or 8 images of the parents putting him in there, they're looking sad, the rocket launching, the planet exploding, him later and the kid finding him, and that's Superman's origin. And like I remember,
I wouldn't say. I mean, that's a good way to like shorten it, but I wouldn't say that's like an
I
excellent
remember my
explanation.
aunt, my 70-year-old aunt now, and she was like in her 60s when we had this conversation. Like me and my cousin sitting there, and we always, and no one believed me and him when I said that there are these superheroes that their origins are in public, like the public consciousness. So, like from our young cousin, like, no, it's not true. I said, hey, and I called aunt, because I called aunt, and his mother goes, what's Superman's origin? He goes, last son of Krypton, sent by a rocket, or something like that, right? What's the Hulk's origin? Nuclear bomb. What's Batman's origin? Parents killed when he was young. She can spout this stuff off, and she has never read a comic book a day of our entire life.
You can shorten it. Like I've never
No,
read.
what I'm saying is,
I've never read a Captain America comic, but I understand his values and where he comes from.
what I'm saying is the origin of these characters, for the ones who've been around for 30, 40, 50 years, is now built into the sort of the social mythology. People just know it by osmosis now. You know.
Well, yeah, if there's so many runs of the same thing, but I'm saying
Yeah.
like if you're making a series, like if we were starting out a Batman, like they have Gotham, they have the Penguin show and everything. Like if you were to go in and say we're gonna have an origin story for the Batman, if it's still in the Batman universe, because Penguin is, I don't know if Gotham is, probably not. But if you were to do that, I would start out.
I mean,
with
it's
kind of explaining.
Batman is in the Gotham series.
There's the Batman, and then there's Batman. They're different. They're different lines, different people who play them.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff.
Okay, so you mean like the specific
the Batman
continuity
is
line.
the newest Batman movie. It's not Batman per se. It's a different Batman. He doesn't act or behave the same way.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean, but
So-
it wasn't clear at first whether you meant like if it's in the same continuity.
They're
Or
not.
not.
But yeah, I'm just saying, like, if you were, however you were to make it, I'd probably go with the Penguin, whatever that is. I don't know. You could use Robert Pattinson. I don't know if you'd do a TV series, but I would start out with kind of like a half of an episode of the beginning, showing how Batman became Batman, and then have him do stuff every episode. Not like sitting in my detective office waiting for someone to come in and ask for help, and picking up subs and stuff like that, and sipping a soda or whatever. Like, I'm talking like going out, patrolling the streets, finding out something, or overhearing some criminals doing some things, or get some rumors from the web or police scanners, whatever the case might be, showing up to the places, doing the stuff, finding the bad guys, beating them up, wrapping them up, and calling the cops, let the cops come pick them up. Basic general stuff, but you can do it in creative ways. There's more than one way to do a heist. There's more than one way to smuggle in bad stuff, whether it be drugs, whether it be guns. You can fight entire gang wars. Like, how much stuff do you think you can fit in a season? Especially nowadays, and seasons are only 8 episodes. You only need 8 ideas. It's 8 ideas. You can't be that creatively bankrupt to not be able to come up with 8 ideas per season.
Yeah, I
Well, I would
guess.
do the Batman origin this way. It would open up with Batman driving the Batmobile, very visually looking like Batman the Animated Series stylistically.
Yeah.
And overhead, you would just see images from when he was a kid walking with his parents. Then you would see the shooting. Then you would see flash forward to training and whatever. And at the end of the opening sequence, you just see Bruce Wayne's face fade to Batman's cowl, and he drives onto the scene. And that'll be more than origin because everyone has seen how many Batman
And
origins do we?
That's
Even the
possible,
public-
but also keep in mind that we have newer, younger generations coming in who don't have that memory
True.
of Batman.
Well, between the Batman, Batman Begins, Batman the movie, which is I mean, like the one that came in the 90s.
Keaton?
Keaton, yeah. And Batman the Animated Series. For the last 30 years, we've had 4 Batman of the same origin, essentially. Actually, multiple Batman animated series. There've been more than one of them with that same origin now. So it seems you could shorten it up a bit.
Yeah, but it's also been a long time to get those.
But it also feels wrong
produced.
not to include the origin if you
And
do a
also,
reboot.
if you're doing a reboot in the TV format, that's a different feel. So if you're watching a TV show, for example, are you going to show at any point in time in the origin story or the explanation or whatever, why
Like, for
Batman
example,
decides...
let's go back to anime for a bit, right? Full Metal Alchemist has 2 series. The first one has the intro like fully done, but then the reboot assumes you've watched the first one and sort of shortens it into a super short, like maybe 5 episodes or so. And you miss out the whole thing if you watch the second one without first taking the first few episodes of the first. I think that's not a good way to do those things.
I just think that if we have newer fans coming up, because obviously every generation, it's going to shift it. I don't know how many comic book fans are going to complain about getting a good origin story. That after it's been allegedly, I didn't watch the Batman, so I don't know if he had an origin story in that or not. But yeah, you had the Christian Bale ones. It's been a hot minute since we've had those. So if you're bringing in a TV show, keep in mind that there are a lot of people who watch movies, don't watch TV shows, and vice versa. So introducing them to the character and then being like, we're not even going to do like a full episode. We're only going to do like an intro into it to explain things, because I want to know things like, why does Superman have the morals he has? Nothing about him being picked up by people in Kansas is going to inherently going to tell me that they could have been douchebag parents. Like they could have been horrible people. They could have been serial killers. We don't know because we don't see anything about them. We have to presume a lot. We have to read between the lines excessively so, to the point where we're practically writing the story for the authors.
But you're overthinking. See, that's the thing.
I overthink. That's what I do.
But that's you, okay?
Yeah, I'm not necessarily the only one, but I do overthink these things. And the reason we like what we like is because we overthink about them. The less we think about something, the less we like it, because we don't think about it.
Like if you took Superman the movie and just started at the scene where Superman first appeared in costume, he's flying out of the fortress, right? The only questions you would have about his like origin in terms of morality would be why isn't he allowed to go back in time? Okay, like all other stuff you can say. Well,
honestly, I don't think I would come with that in my brain, but yeah.
Look, all the other stuff he does, like saving people, you'd say, okay, he's a good guy. He saves people. You just kind of see him do it.
Yes, but I would logically eventually get to the conclusion: why is he not the bad guy? He can do whatever he wants, and no one can stop him.
But that's just you.
No, that's anybody with a logical brain.
The going back in time. Why would I ask that question?
Because at the end of the first movie, he goes to fly up and go back in time, and Jor-El says, "No, you can't interfere." But the question is, why can't he interfere?
Okay, but he is able to do it.
Yes.
I mean,
So
Now
technically
people-
people,
speaking,
okay.
the
Before
Flash
people
and
get
everything can
lost,
go backwards.
that thing he does where he
Flash
spins,
has weird.
he's not
Space
reversing
Force
time for the whole
powers.
planet. And at the end of Superman the movie, he's going back in time to save Lois.
Okay. Yeah.
So people
I guess.
misunderstand that what he does there.
Why would people misunderstand something that's so obviously explained by the storytellers?
Well, no, the whole the flashback
That's
thing
what we call
wasn't.
bad writing.
So the effect where he that's partially because of why that effect is in the movie to begin with. Okay.
It's
So-
one thing if it's Saitama from One Punch Man because
No.
it's a satirical character in a satirical world. We
Yeah,
don't
that
need the
effect of
explanations.
him flying around the
He
planet
actually
was
does go
supposed
back
to
in
be
time in
the end of Superman 2. But because they weren't sure it was going to be made, but they did the effect because they were filming Superman 1 and 2 at the same time, they decided to use the effect at the end of Superman 1 in place of him actually just busting through the time barrier.
So, Crimson, if you were to explain a One Punch Man to Superman comparison, how would you explain one is solely based on its writing? Like, its writing actually matters, versus the other one, because it's based in satirical nature, it does not have to have the same qualities as, say, a Batman, a Superman, etc.
Well, I would say that is in terms of One Punch Man, it does lean a whole lot more into the satirical elements. It's not meant to be taken as seriously as something like Batman and Superman. It's not a like true to form superhero story, although it does have some
With an entire superhero building and all the superheroes.
No, what I mean is that like it's not there like to it wasn't started as a way to tell a superhero story. It was more so started as a way to parody well, not just superhero stuff, but shonen stuff in general, with characters getting way overpowered. The author effectively describes Saitama as a shonen character who reached the peak of his power well before the start of the series.
Yeah.
And it's just like the way he behaves is like that's not what you'd expect from a hero. He wants to go home, he wants to play video games, he wants to get his ramen, he wants, he's relaxing. Half the stuff he does when he saves the planet is completely on accident. Like it's literally just him being like, I'm on my way home.
The sale, right?
I have to go to the sale. I head home. I'm getting stopped by a giant mosquito lady, and I just splatter against the building with one backhand because it's like I hear a buzzing sound. And ironically, he kills the mosquito lady, but he struggles to kill the one mosquito. But
No, she lives.
no, she got blood splattered against a building.
She's technically still alive. If you read the manga,
Oh, I didn't read the manga. I watched the anime.
But she's now retired, I guess.
I would be too if somebody just backhitted me into a wall,
No.
splatting blood everywhere.
that whole evolution
Exact-
house is retired.
Yeah, I bet. But no, like the fact that this little mosquito and he with all his speed and everything cannot get this freaking mosquito. And then Geedos comes over, gets it, and just kills me every time. But he's so angry about it. But every time King comes over, because Saitama is this superhuman in every way possible, better than King in every way possible, and King just beats him in games every time. And it's funny, but it's like it takes itself seriously at points, like when the bicycle guy, I can't remember his name.
Moomin Rider.
Who?
Moomin Rider.
Yeah, Moomin Rider. Yeah. When he's like, I have no powers, but I'm going to be a Batman of this world, minus the wealth. And I'm going to, do good and save people and blah, blah, blah. And then he gets like beaten up and he's like on death's door. And then Saitama saves him and he's like, he takes it very seriously. Like, I'm going to, like, you're a hero to me. And I'm going to go out there and I'm going to beat the bad guys for you, kind of a thing. And it's like, yeah, in all this satire, there's like legitimate hit home moments that you can relate with. Like, yeah, that's the guy who's the real hero.
What do you mean? King is super overpowered.
Who?
King.
He has a button that allows him to instantly summon Saitama at any moment.
Yeah, exactly. That, and he has the
he
King
raises the
style
button and my
ultimate,
secret weapon, beep, beep.
Hellfire wave motion cannon attack.
But yeah, like,
which is really just no.
but that's the thing though, is like even in a satire, you can get these really hard hitting storytelling elements that just make the story really, really good. I don't feel like I'm getting that when I'm constantly wondering, like, why are we saving the bad guys to imprison them for them to come back out and cause more havoc and do more bad things and harm more people, where more people are going to be killed, harmed, like maimed or something, or lose their livelihoods, or whatever the case might be. Destabilizing the region, let criminals run rampant, harming innocent civilians, innocent people. Doesn't sound like a good outwork of the entire idea. That's why I look at it and say, I can't get behind the idea that there are actual good writers who made up an entire concept for the universe just because Robin exists. It's just kind of like that's a weird way to write, guys. Like, I mean, maybe he could be against Robin doing like that kind of violence or something, but if that's the case, don't have a kid? Like, get a grown adult to be your sidekick? I don't know.
Well, that's why
Yeah,
Batman's
but
not
then it doesn't
either.
appeal as much to the teenage audience.
Why would seeing a I'm not gonna say it. Why would seeing Robin really inspire the teenage audience when they're inspired by Batman, not Robin?
I don't know, representation.
Nobody was about representation until these retards started talking about it in recent years. I don't look at Batman and say, I want to be
No?
Robin. That's not what I think. And besides, he's not black, Asian, or anything else, so I couldn't
That's true.
possibly
Yeah,
relate
true.
to him.
Okay.
But was it you, Crimson, that made a post talking about relating to somebody because of the attributes that they can have that we can have mutually?
Yeah, Discaris from Ichi the Witch.
Yeah, it's just
I was
like,
basically making a point like, okay, she's a dark-skinned woman, whatever. She's a good character, and that's in as far as we should give a fuck.
well, it's just like if I don't know, is she a good character, like a main character, good guy? Or is she
She
a bad
is
guy?
she's a supporting character for the protagonist.
Is the protagonist a good guy?
Yes.
Okay, so she's a good guy. Okay, so she goes in, and
I mean, insofar as preventing people from getting killed by magic and trying to stop the end of the world makes you a good guy.
Yeah, I guess
nah,
that
okay,
qualifies.
she's a villain. I see. Okay, but no, like if you have her, she's got dark skin. You're like, oh, I can relate to her because she's dark skinned. I'm like, well, you're a man. Well, she's still dark skinned. I'm like, yes, but you have to be a woman to relate to her. You can't possibly relate to her because she's just dark skinned. Like, you can't be that superficial, right? But then you think like, well, is she courageous? Is she kind? Is she compassionate? Does she try to actually care for people? Does she have values and principles she stands upon? Does she cower in fear? Like, what attributes does she bring to the table, or philosophies or whatever, that we can look at and say, yeah, I can relate to that, because in that situation I'd be terrified too and I'd run away, or I would probably be terrified, but at the last moment I would stand and fight, even if I knew it was my absolute just annihilation. Like, that's what you're supposed to like relate to, not the color of their skin, not their gender. Like, that's just ridiculous to begin with.
I mean,
I don't
if you
care if
relate at
he's
all,
I don't care if he's a white male.
if you
I
relate
don't
at all,
care.
sometimes you're just watching or reading or whatever because it's fun.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying, like, in terms of the reason we cheer for the good guys is because we want them to do the things that we wish we could do. Like, we wish we could take on a whole bunch of orcs and butcher them like Aragorn does and come out on top, no questions asked, because that's freaking cool. He's Aragorn, but he's also a man of principles. He's also a good guy. He's also a hero. He's amongst a whole bunch of things, but he's like true definition hero. Like, he actually overcomes quite a bit to become king and also to save the world. But in terms of what people see in a character, that's why we connect to character. I connect to Matt Cawthon because he's like me, except for the womanizing and the gambling and the alcoholism. But in every way, I'm very sarcastic like he is. I'm very humorous like he is. We both have very similar comebacks in a lot of things. We're also, I mean, I'm older than him, but we would be roughly similar ages. But anyway, point being, in that moment, I can look at a character and say, that's the reason I like the character. I like Perrin. I kind of like Rand, but I really, really like Matt because I can relate to him. I don't have to be him. He doesn't have to stand for me. He's not my stand-in in the story where everything he does is me. But it's like I can see that character and say, yeah, that's what I would do in that situation too, even if it sounds silly or if it's like a bad idea. Like him coming up with like multiple. I know this is a Sanderson thing, but like coming up with multiple scripts to give to all the guys. I'm like, I love my grandmother. You don't have a grandmother, like all that kind of stuff. That's something that I would probably do. I'd think of some crazy thing because I'm desperate to get out of a situation. I'd probably come up with something crazy like that just because that's how I would do things. But I think all of us would want to see a character that we can look at and be like, yeah, I like that character. Not because they're black, not because they're Asian, not because they're white, not because they're a man, not because they're a woman, but because they're a good moral person or an evil, immoral person doing said things that are entertaining, whether they be cool to look at, like the rule of cool, or if they're doing something that's like they stand for a purpose or whatever. That's all good. I would say, compared to comics, anime does it way better. Which is why I find it really funny when Matt Walsh is like, it's satanic, multiple times.
Well, he's complaining about comics too, so he's complaining about it.
I would disagree with him on comics probably as well, despite probably thinking very little of comics myself.
He's a troll.
I mean,
who complains
isn't he
for
against
money
entertainment
reasons.
in general, unless it's fishing?
He's
Unless
against
it's
entertainment.
sports ball.
He's against entertainment unless it's his show.
He's a troll in the traditional sense of a troll who's doing it to make money. That's the only reason he's doing it.
But then why not just admit you're a troll? People are still going to come read.
Why does he have to do that though?
Why not? I'm not saying he has to. I'm just saying, but why not? Like, if that was the case, why be like, it's a joke? It's a joke. That's not the response.
No, you
of a
keep
troll.
saying trolling is being a joke. He's trolling in the original sense of the word, where it means making money off of it, of something he doesn't own.
Which I guess is fine to him. It's not fine to me, but it's fine to him. But even if he says that,
that's why I don't take. That's why I ignore almost everything when he posts that stuff. I don't repost his shit when he does that. I don't.
Well, I don't either.
It, you know.
But in terms of things like, I'll support Niche Gamer if they cover this stuff, as long as they spell correctly. Niche Gamer, get a better editor.
Well, I mentioned it before. The Krasensteins, like the Brian, his brother, they just post stuff because they troll. They're fishing for money via social media.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can't get outraged over them. I can get outraged over Melanie Mack because that bitch is trying to gatekeep the MAGA movement for her particular a hardcore Christian subsect.
Who's the minority, ironically.
Yeah.
But not talking about Melanie Mack. I've done way too much of that lately. But in terms of things like, well, actually, first, I don't know if you guys saw, because probably outside of Sage, probably nobody cares about Civilization. Maybe Matt. Civilization 7.
Well, no, I don't really care about
I played the first couple Civilization games.
I've seen Arch play a game, and it looks like shit.
But funny enough, I lost interest in it when the graphics got better.
I think I started playing it 4, but the Sid Meier's Pirates is super fun, by the way.
It's the same thing with Age of Empires. Like, I love Age of Empires 2. I tried to play 3 and found the 3D graphics of it horrible.
It's not the 3D graphics that bothers me. It's like freaking America fighting, ancient civilizations. It's just, no, I don't like that.
That's perfectly realistic, though.
Yes, totally. I like the historical base. Like Age of Empires 2 was history based. That was the one thing about Age of Empires 2 that separated it from every other Age of Empires, is because it was actually about the historical aspects. You had your Genghis Khans, you had your Joan of Arc, your William Wallace.
To a point,
Well, I mean, and so much until you get into a multiplayer game and you pick people that would never have actually met each other, like Persia and the Celts.
I think for some reason, to me, certain style of game is better done in that 2D ISO structure.
Old world.
Yeah, like Civilization. I've tried. When did it switch its UI? Was it 4?
I don't know, but the new UI apparently is soulless, and that's a complaint people have. But the complaint I was going to cover is that apparently they misspelled siege in one of the tooltips, and people were roasting them over it.
They did.
Oh my god!
They spelled it SEI.
I got a topic for us for next week.
Sage.
I just remembered.
It's like you didn't
Okay.
have anything like remotely covering any of the like the editing aspect didn't go over and check everything. All their UI pop-ups and everything are like
But to be
dead.
fair, the whole thing just looks bad.
I mean, graphically it looks nice in terms of the
Okay, sure.
actual
Graphically,
map.
if you
I like the
look at the map,
stacking
sure.
the stacking little hexes and stuff look kind of cool. That's a cool little idea.
Not a
but-
fan of the fog of war.
I mean, I think it looks cool from like a tabletop board game look feel, where you
Yeah, but
slowly
it doesn't have the feel.
It's
of
clouds or
civilization
something
looking.
different. I mean, it feels different. I'm okay with that. That's one of my least complaints. But you know how they had like Sean Bean in 6 and he did the whole like
Mhm,
read
yeah,
through
yeah.
the entire thing. Well, they have the
Mhm.
new lady, which I like her voice, and I don't know what she's been in, but I've heard the voice before. I think she was the narrator for like Baldur's Gate 3 or something.
She is the no, definitely not.
It's not. She sounds very similar.
That's the person who plays the woman knight in Game of Thrones.
Brienne.
Oh.
Gwynna.
Yeah, Gwen
Oh,
something.
oh.
Yeah. But she reads like
Gwendolyn.
she reads the first sentence of the Civil thing and stops.
Yep.
And I was like, why don't you just read the whole thing? It's not that like you're charging $70 to $130 for this game. You cannot tell me, and that's with 7,300 pre-orders of $100 or more. You cannot tell me you can't afford to have her say a couple extra lines. There's no way. So just random throw out there. I thought that was really funny. It's just like somebody misspells the word siege, but it's the same thing. Like I hear people talk about like a mirage, but they say mirage, like they really dig into it. I'm just like it's mirage, not mirage.
Are we talking about the word mirage?
Wait,
Yeah.
what?
Mirage.
Which one? Marriage?
Yes.
Is that how you pronounce it over there?
Well, you ever heard,
Illinois, maybe, but
Marriage?
it's mirage.
Wow.
But yeah.
well, if you follow the rules of English pronunciation, stomach should be pronounced stomach.
Stomaco. I
Yeah,
mean,
sounds Italian.
there's like how do you enunciate Q?
Q? What?
Q woo woo.
No, it's Quewe.
Wait.
That's one of the best things about One Piece is that it gave me these glorious things of pee 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 as laughters.
Oh, yeah. No, that's
they have some of the silliest, ridiculous laughs ever, but it's
That
freaking. I'm here.
retarded shit, yeah.
I think
I am
every character
all-
has
I'm
a
here
unique
for it.
way of laughing
Who?
like that. Every
There's actually a
character has a
theory that
unique
it's
way, I
it's
think.
dependent on the devil fruit that they have.
Yeah. How does Luffy laugh in rubber? What would that even sound like?
Well, no, it more so has to do with like I don't want to sit here and explain it. Never mind.
Anyway, back to Matt Walsh and his retarded takes.
No, we finished that already, right?
No, we haven't gotten all the way down yet.
Oh,
No, we
fuck.
got
we're almost there.
sidetracked for like an hour and a half.
Well, we started talking about
That's
underage
normal.
anime girls, and it kind of went sideways.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Well,
what we
that's
do.
normal
It's
for our
what we
videos,
do,
bro.
guys. That's what we do.
Where were we?
Reiterating past statements that anime is degenerate and it is inappropriate for grown men to be enjoying. Walsh made it clear he wasn't apologizing or retracting any of his previous statements against this segment of pop culture. While some of Walsh's fans agree, calling anime woke, which is a dumb take, others have
Yeah.
called him out for needlessly alienating segments of his base. Also a notoriously dumb take. After watching
Calling
Sonic...
anime woke. That's an interesting one.
It is an interesting take. After, well,
Because
they're
the
probably
vast
referring
majority-
to anything that looks like anime, like the Castlevania stuff. It's
Oh,
American
yeah,
Western made.
maybe the Western made stuff.
Cartoon
I get.
Network is definitely anime, right, guys?
Or maybe Crunchyroll stuff also.
Metalocalypse.
Cartoon Network has
Me-
anime stuff on it.
What does?
Does Cartoon Network still have the Adult Swim? They still have anime on there.
They do
Eh.
occasionally publish anime. I mean, I know of two right out the gate that would be that were on there were Demon Slayer and I believe Fena Pirate Princess was on there as well.
Well, there are
I don't
times
know.
over the
That
years. I mean,
sounds like,
Dragon Ball is on there.
Well, on Toonami and stuff, they had that in Cartoon Network, but that's not cartoons. That's like specially imported. I'm talking like Dexter's Laboratory or Laboratory or Powerpuff Girls or anything like that. That's anime in the eyes of the natural public. Just like every game system is a Nintendo,
Yeah.
and every
My,
game's
my
a
aunt
Mario
still calls
game.
every game system a Nintendo.
Yeah. But
And like how every TTRPG is D&D.
after watching Sonic the Hedgehog 3 in the past few months, Walsh has also been warring with fans of the film, calling it one of the worst children's film ever made and saying it was inappropriate for both children and adults.
Was it?
Why is it inappropriate? Sonic is a child teenager IP.
Yeah. Because Matt Walsh
Maybe-
doesn't know anything that he's talking about when it comes to pop culture. That's why.
I know.
Yeah,
Shocking.
that's fair. That's fair.
So, like, how are we supposed to take an entire portion of the media center? And I don't mean center as in the middle. I mean center as in group of people that do media stuff. Take them seriously when they say such stupid stuff when they're supposed to be on the side that's not mentally ill. But when I see Glenn Beck, Liz Wheeler, and Matt Walsh, all I can think of is mentally ill. I mean, granted, if we were just going with the original traditional sense of trolling, yeah, they have that mental illness. It's too bad nobody ever gave them pills for it.
Well, Liz Wheeler and Walsh were trolls for sure.
I'm pretty sure
Glenn Beck is
kind of.
Glenn Beck is fairly honest in his opinions, even if he's wrong. You know.
Yeah, but he might be trolling for money too. I don't know. But point being is if they are going that route to do that, I would call them disingenuous hacks, but that's a different story. And I would be like adamant about telling anybody and everybody to ignore everything they say because they're disingenuous hacks. But when it comes to things like the right versus the left, how are the people who have been anti-woke, which for a long time has been center and right, because it's gotten so crazy that lefts push people from the left into the center category, how are we supposed to have a unifying front where we could absolutely demolish culture in our favor to be like, yeah, we're bringing back good writing, good script writing, good books, good movies, good games, good whatever the medium might be, freaking good coasters for your freaking cold drinks, whatever the case might be. We bring back good quality, we bring back merit, we bring back everything we need to make a good product or a good anything. But I guess Liz Wheeler would be offended because it's consumerism. It's like, well, yeah, everything is consumerism. You're consuming all the time. In her case, it's just idiocy. But how is this going to help anything in the culture war? And the ultimate answer is it's not. It's going to do the complete opposite. It's not going to help us in any shape or form. So how do we pull people away from these pundit retards and put them into like, yeah, this is not the actual way it is. Gamers are not just dumb people that are fat and obese, shoving popcorn and potato chips in their mouth, sitting on their mom's couch in their basement, watching TV all day or playing games, and they do nothing else at any other point in time.
Well, you do what I've been saying for the past 2 hours and say they're trolls and ignore them.
Yes, but you can't tell people they're trolls and ignore them because they're not going to necessarily just buy what you have to say. Like, you have to, like, actually, it's like making an impact versus saying, we'll just ignore the woke stuff. Well, you can't just ignore the woke stuff and tell people you can't take it seriously. You have to actively fight against it. Like, white blood cells don't just...
Well, you just point out
White blood
examples
cells
of
don't
doing,
ignore the virus. They take it out.
you just point out examples of doing the same thing over and over again. That's all you can do.
Right, Crimson? Cells at work?
I never watched that one.
Oh, I did though.
Your
so-
gayness is seeping through again. Sage, just like cells at work, right?
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, it's like,
It's been a while since I've seen it.
it's a white blood cell. They murder
When did that
viruses.
release? Like 7 or
Uh,
so years ago?
I don't know if it was
They're
that
doing a
long
live
ago.
action of it. I know that for sure.
That was like 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay,
wasn't it?
that sounds like a choice.
That. Imagine that, the black white blood cell. it's gonna be funny. He's gonna
Man,
look,
what you talking about, fool?
he's
You,
gonna look,
you never heard of a black blood cell?
he's gonna look like a freaking Mario with the flower, the fire
Starring
flower.
as the white blood cells, Denzel Washington. It's like
Oh my gosh,
Morgan Freeman.
these freaking
And David
castings
Oyelowo.
lately have been ridiculous. Like, there was who was Denzel Washington supposed to be playing here? I just saw it. He was the
Okay, I know you're gonna bring it up, and you people need to watch it with this one because that emperor could technically have been black.
who? No, I'm not talking about
What?
Gladiator 2. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about he was said to possibly be cast in a new film, but it's a race swap.
Oh,
Let me see if I can find it.
Is Denzel Washington now George Washington?
No,
Denzel Washington plays Isaac Newton.
no.
Sounds like a Doctor Who thing.
Yeah.
Well, I mentioned it because that was a trap. Because the dude who the darker skinned person who played him was half actual native English.
Well, apparently he's rumored to join Black Panther 3. Not sure how.
I guess that could be anyone in that
They
movie.
finally recast T'Challa.
They keep claiming they're not going to do it.
Oh no, they were gonna make him Magneto.
That doesn't make any sense, though.
Well, it's Marvel.
Well,
They lost all their
Denzel is
sense.
supposedly not a left winger, so he might not do it.
And I had a video I wanted to cover, but we might not have time to do it. But it's a Matt Walsh thing if you wanted to watch it. But it's
Is the
I
one where he
gotta
pretends to watch anime?
no, it's about Sonic 3.
Oh,
I gotta drop because I gotta do medication and stuff soon.
All right, Matt. Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah.
Get better.
I got like 9:30 basically.
Have a good one, sir.
Yeah. So
Feel better.
yeah, gained the flu in the middle of all my other
So are they
stuff.
redoing X-Men? Again?
Well, yes, because the prior ones were Fox. This would be Marvel's actual Marvel. But we had this that we could.
I'm gonna check out, guys. I'll talk to you all later.
Laters.
Oh god, the 90-minute video. I guess we'll be here for
19,
another
not
5
90.
hours. Yeah, I said 19.
Well, that's why I said it's like maybe we could just watch.
But that means we will be doing
I do
this
love.
for 19
I do love
minutes.
his mug. Do you see his mug?
Yeah.
Sweet Baby Gang.
To be fair,
Is that
he had
like
the
another
name
Sweet
first.
Baby Inc. Possibly?
No, that he has had that long before Sweet Baby Inc. was a thing.
There are two
Sweet Baby Inc.'s been a
Incs,
thing for a
actually.
very long time, dude.
There are two of them. One is an actual like proper company that makes like baby products and stuff. The other one is the gaming company that caused all of the fucking
The
stink in the last year and a
consulting
half.
company. Yeah,
Consulting company.
I
sorry.
think Sweet Baby Gang is his a term he makes. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what he calls the people that are his fans, I guess.
Babies, yes.
That's fucking creepy.
I
Yeah.
mean, hey, he likes underage kids.
I'm not sure if that's a name that came from the fandom itself.
He's called
or-
upon
Okay, I'm gonna have a
was
lot of
imposed on it.
authority in this area because I am a father. So we'll get here.
to make sacrifices for his family. And often these will be small sacrifices. Sometimes they'll be larger, though, more significant. And on even rarer occasion, the duties of fatherhood will require him to make the kind of sacrifice that up to that moment, he would have thought himself incapable of making. These are the moments when a man must become a hero, when he must lay his very life on the line.
Now, with all that
Shut
said,
the
you
fuck
might
up,
think he
Matt,
might be
you
talking
retard.
about something serious. This man's talking like he's about to have to give up his kidney for his child or something, right? This grown-ass man is talking about a goddamn Sonic movie like this.
You needed a father.
Nah, but today we're going to be responding to this video from Matt Walsh. He made a critique video on Sonic 3. Some of you guys may have already seen SK do this, and I wanted to do this before SK did. SK was actually, he sent it in this group chat that we're in. He's like, yo, I gotta respond to this. And I'm like, bro, I was already gonna do that. And he's like, nah, fuck you. And I was like, fuck you too. But yeah, that brings us to where we are today.
great friends.
So without further ado, let's continue with the video.
I was about to
Or
say that
most
sounds
harrowing
like
of
proper
all,
friends.
he may be compelled by his paternal obligations to go to a movie theater and watch Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
Man, you know what's funny? When I was at the theater watching this movie, I saw a kid and his dad, and they were both dressed in Sonic costumes. And I was looking at it, I was like, damn, that's adorable. You know, that's the dad right there that likes to put in effort. Is it a little silly? Yeah. But I compare that and I imagine Matt Walsh's kid just sitting in the theater, excited as hell to watch this movie, having a grand old time probably watching it, and then Matt Walsh just sitting in the theater looking like Homelander while the inside of his brain looks like this. Sitting there like old man Jenkins in the theater.
Look, Mom, I drew a picture of me landing on the moon.
And even as someone who didn't have a dad growing up, I'm gonna play this clip again.
You needed a father.
This man sounds like he's deprived of all happiness. I just want to preface, it's fine if he didn't like the movie, but it's the stuff that he says in this video that's really it's just funny to me.
Now, a man in that situation would, of course, much prefer to be engulfed in flames or hit by a speeding train, but that would be the coward's way out.
What?
Now, for the record, I'll say I greatly enjoyed most of the time that I spent with my wife and kids these past 2 weeks. We had a lot of fun together. We played football. We played outside. We shot BB guns. We played card games.
Those things are satanic. You should not do them, Matt Walsh.
I
Oh
don't
no,
know
you
this.
play with
Game.
BB guns, you're encouraging violence with your child, Matt.
You're basically
You shouldn't like violence, Matt.
That's so
it's
evil,
a bad
Matt.
thing if you enjoy violence, Matt.
Matt, you're literally telling your child to go in and pick up a controller and play a video game when he uses those BB guns. Can you imagine the trauma from that violent encounter he will have?
And board games. I completely wrecked my whole family in Monopoly 2 nights in a row.
That's not a good thing, by the way.
Wasn't even close. We took the kids ice skating. I was ice skating. My wife and
That's pretty gay, Matt.
I like he's like, I was ice skating. I'm like, you went to an ice skating rink. What else do you do?
kids were left dumbstruck by my gracefulness and elegance on the ice. They didn't
This is obviously satire.
say that, but I know they were.
It does
they were
sound gay,
thinking it.
though.
These were
Why do his viewers care about this? It's not even funny. It's like me rambling.
Wait a
all
minute.
wonderful
So you're
experiences. Yet
self-aware at least.
I'm very self-aware.
That's
things
good.
took
That's good.
a rather distressing turn on the final Thursday of the break when my 8-year-old son and 5-year-old daughter asked me to take them to go see Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
What the fuck? You know, for some
It was a traumatic experience.
reason, I find it hard to believe that this man has quality family time. If Sonic 3 was the movie that really broke him as a father and a man. Now listen, as someone who has been broken by a piece of media, multiple pieces of media in my life, you know, it's somewhat relatable in a sense. But bro, you're sitting there in the theater watching the movie with your family. It's not that deep.
Before I offer my brief review of this thing that I hesitate to call a film, I must first acknowledge, in all fairness, I never saw Sonic the Hedgehog 1 or Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
So we're
Or Knuckles. Everyone always forgets Knuckles has his own movie.
But there's a
He
Knuckles
had a
movie?
TV show.
Was it a TV show?
It's a TV show on like Paramount Plus or something.
Oh.
Huh.
I heard it's
So it doesn't
really
really count
bad.
then.
Well, it's bad by kid standards or bad by adult standards because it's kind of aimed at kids anyway.
I have no idea.
I mean, I don't
just-
like the idea of them mixing in with humanity anyway because it's not like the Sonic games where you were in a world.
Well, you
with
don't like
animals.
kids mixing in with humanity?
No, Sonic being in the human world. That's not where he's been. His world is a totally
okay.
different world where he fights Dr. Robotnik and all the machines turn back into animals and whatnot. And he kind of saves them as he goes along and gets all the rings and everything. Like that's the whole point.
Depends
And they're
on
like-
which game, which comic, or which.
isn't
I'm
Dr.
looking at
Robotnik a
I'm looking at
human?
the original stuff. Like the original cartoons and stuff like that were all in their own unique world. Kind of
Okay.
like the Pokemon world's in its own unique world. It's not our normal world.
making a review of a movie
Self-contained.
without watching the first two. We're off to a great start.
It's possible that
To be fair, I don't think you necessarily need to, as long as you leave an opening to say, caveat, I haven't watched the prior movies. This is my thoughts on the movie based upon what I saw inherently. Which you could still have thoughts. You could be like, yeah, the cinematography was meh, or the CGI was good or bad. Like, you can have thoughts on something. You don't have to see the prior stuff, to be fair.
one cannot
Though it does help.
not fully appreciate the narrative complexities of Sonic the Hedgehog 3 without having seen the first 2 chapters in this epic Hedgehog saga.
Yes.
Maybe the other 2 movies are works of staggering artistic genius that would elevate the 3rd installment.
They're kids' movies. No.
And lend it the sort of context necessary for me to have appreciated it and enjoyed it instead of feeling like I was being waterboarded with high fructose corn syrup the whole time. But I doubt it.
Nah, bro.
Well, guys, at least we know what his weaknesses.
Sonic 1
Fun?
and 2, these...
No, high fructose corn syrup.
I would say fun is probably a greater weakness. Because look, I've been back and forth with artists or writers and stuff that I follow who are older than me, ironically, who really, really liked the Sonic movies, who thought they were great. So it surprises me that he's sitting here talking like that. You can't enjoy this if you're an adult. I know plenty of people who enjoyed this movie, and they're adults.
You knew adults? What?
Unfortunately, yes.
I know. I have the same feeling.
Those are both masterpieces, complete works of art, 0 issues in the writing, truly staggering films. You know, there's actually a quote from Martin Scorsese directly that he watched Sonic 1 and 2, and he was like, man, this puts every movie I've ever made to shame.
I mean, this is the kind of movie where
That's pretty sad, actually.
Jim Carrey plays 2 characters. One is the evil villain, and the other is the evil villain's evil grandfather in old age makeup. And the 2 break into an impromptu dance routine that makes no narrative sense but lasts approximately 87 minutes. It's the kind of movie where those same characters before the dance routine actually look directly into the camera. And
Maybe he meant to say 87 seconds, because I don't think it's going to be an hour and a half of dance routine, but yeah.
and explain that they're being played by the same actor.
Explain why it doesn't make any narrative sense. Also, fuck you, this is peak cinema.
That's not good.
Based response.
How does one see that and not just give you have to at least smile at that. Like, come on, bro.
I must assume,
so
and I think
ridiculous, it's
assume
funny.
safely, that there is nothing in the other 2 films that would make this one any less obnoxious or horrifically stupid. I'm not going to bother explaining.
Am I the only one who finds it extreme cringe that he puts his hands on top of his laptop?
Yes, maybe.
That annoys me as a tech guy.
Why is that a problem?
Because you could be damaging your technological goods, and I don't like that.
By
I usually try not
putting
to
your
set anything on
hands
top of my
on
laptop.
stuff.
Like he's like leaning forward on top of it, which is putting some weight on
Yeah,
it.
but is he actually putting his weight on it?
Okay,
Because
if
I
you
could
put-
do like this
If you
and
relax your arms and then you lean forward, you are by definition putting weight on something.
sure.
That's what he's doing.
I don't know if he has like a shitty laptop or something.
He works at the Daily Wire. Of course, it's going to be a freaking Mac.
That's fair. That's a good point. Yeah.
the plot of
I
this
retract
film in
my
any detail.
my statement.
You are semi-forgiven.
I wasn't tracking it that closely, to be honest. I was mostly fighting to stay awake.
So he both didn't watch the first 2 movies, and he wasn't paying attention to this movie. And he decided, I'm gonna come on to YouTube, and I'm gonna make a review.
That makes sense to me.
This is the kind of movie that bores you to the point of putting
That
you to
means
sleep,
great.
but also annoys you at the same time. It's kind of an odd combination to be both sleepy and deeply irritated simultaneously.
I mean, literally for me, all I have to do is be irritated and hot, and that'll do it.
We? Who's we? There is no we.
As for the plot, I can only tell you that Sonic is the good hedgehog, which you may know.
Actually, if you watch the first 2 movies, you
There's also an evil hedgehog voiced by Keanu Reeves, who
he's not evil. He's just misunderstood.
He's just edgy.
and I like
He didn't have a real father.
Keanu Reeves, by the way, but like every other voice actor in this film and most voice actors in most children's films that have been made for the past 20 years, he has no talent as a voice actor and doesn't understand how to act with just your voice.
How?
To be fair, Keanu Reeves has done a better job in his voice acting career than I think most people have done in the dubs.
Could be.
Yeah, I said it. Dubs suck.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Also,
I
I don't,
mean,
I
that's
don't know
obvious,
what
right?
animated movies you've been watching, but just no. No.
I'm not asking you twice, Knuckles. Where is the Master Emerald?
Your heart is being consumed by anger, Hedgehog. You are in no condition to make decisions right now.
Last chance. Where is it?
Don't do this. Part of our oath is to trust each other. And I must abide by that promise, even if you have chosen to break it.
You don't get to choose who Riley is. Anxiety?
Wait, is that Keanu Reeves as well? What?
No. He's talking about films, like
You
where
need
they,
to let
they
her go.
teach.
Well, that's the whole thing.
Good
You're never
messages.
thinking about anything else, just yourself. Fantastic. Another Orion Pack's master plan. I can't wait to hear this.
Hey, don't you want to stop him?
Isn't this just Optimus Prime and Megatron?
I want to put Sentinel in chains and march him through the mines so everyone can see him for the false prime that he is. I want him to suffer and then to die in darkness.
So Sonic has to stop the evil
I think the joke is that he thinks cartoons are silly and, not a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Hedgehog and his evil cohorts, that's the Jim Carrey dancing duo I mentioned earlier, from blowing up the world with a big laser.
Yep.
I mean, I think Superman's fought a couple of those before, so what's your point?
This has been the evil
Calling A
plan.
New Hope.
Oh, wait a minute.
Well, at least they succeeded in that one.
No, they didn't.
Alderaan got blown up.
Yeah.
I'd say Alderaan definitely got vaporized.
Oh, you mean they succeeded in actually blowing up the planet rather than
Yep.
succeeded in saving?
Yeah. They did,
Yeah,
they did
okay.
not succeed in saving Alderaan.
And of every evil villain in every blockbuster franchise film for the past 3 decades. It's a formula that this movie is not interested in deviating from. This is not the sort of movie that deviates from
Like, his formula of his talking has not been deviated from stupid takes.
I guess.
Shocking.
formulas.
So, a villain who wants to blow up the world because the world's humanity killed someone, his daughter, who's like the paragon of innocence, or got her killed because of something they didn't understand. It's a bad and uninteresting villain motivation for him to want to blow up humanity because he has no faith in it and lost all faith pretty much once that innocent daughter of his died. Okay. And villains wanting to destroy the world, it doesn't really matter if it's come before. What matters is if it has depth and, if the motivation is interesting and three-dimensional.
If you're wondering why the evil hedgehog and the two Jim Carreys want to explode the world and murder 8 billion people in a cosmic blast that they will also die in, it's because the older Jim Carrey's granddaughter, I think, was killed, and now he wants to commit murder-suicide because life isn't worth living. Like, that's real. That's
Yeah, who said villains had to be logical or reasonable? Like, most of them aren't.
that's in the movie.
First of all, Jim Carrey, Dr. Robotnik, the Eggman, not his grandfather, he doesn't want to destroy the world. It's only Shadow and Gerald. Second of all, you're not exactly explaining a problem. You're just explaining a motivation. Explain why it's a stupid motivation. Explain why it's uninteresting. Explain why it breaks his character. Explain what doesn't work about it. Explain anything as to why the writing is actually bad.
He actually declares his suicidal intention as well. Now, if that seems like weirdly bleak and dark for a kid's movie where the characters bust out impromptu dance routines and
This is why they were showing the stuff from Elemental and the other Sonic film.
randomly break the fourth wall and constantly speak in internet lingo from 2019, there's a lot of that, by the way, just as one example.
To be
At
fair,
one
the
point, Jim
internet
Carrey
lingo
says,
is quite annoying.
The what?
The fact that new movies nowadays use the new speak, right? Gen Z
Leet speak?
lingo.
Or
New
is that
speak.
millennial? No, leet speak. Leet speak.
Yeah, but
was
I'm
what I
talking
grew up
about
on.
new speak, which is different.
That's the false speak.
damn you, autocorrect. If it seems weirdly bleak and dark for that kind of movie, it's because it is.
This sounds like my reviews. Terrible, boring, and uneventful.
This is a movie, like so many kids' movies these days, that schizophrenically darts back and forth from being
Okay, I take that back. I at least bit pedantic points into it that actually make logical sense. He doesn't even have that.
ironic to painfully self-serious to goofy to earnest and so on and so on. It doesn't try to smooth over these tonal transitions with good writing or performances. The writing is just terrible, and the performances are atrocious across the board. Instead, it just flings it all against the wall haphazardly.
Now, this is one of the only things.
Kind of like his review. But he says those things, but it doesn't give us an example. Like, he thinks he gave us an example, but he didn't actually give us an example. So I'm kind of confused how I'm supposed to be convinced by that.
I kind of agree.
Or maybe the people who watch him are that brain dead. I don't know.
This is actually really one of my only like big issues with the movie. Sonic 3 tries to be more emotional than the first two movies and like, you know, serious, but it also keeps the tone of the first two movies in places where it shouldn't be. Like, for example, after Donut Lord dies, or is presumed dead by Sonic, there's a very emotional scene that plays, and you know, it then cuts to like a goofy joke that Officer Wade is the one who has the emerald and he's playing hockey with it on top of a roof. Like, that's complete tonal breakage. I don't know why they did that. But yes, I can agree that some of the tone is, you know, it shifts. Hi, Cat. But yes, I can agree that some of the tone, it kind of shifts when it shouldn't. But that doesn't mean that the movie is even remotely bad, or that all the writing
Literally.
sucks.
Because
like you've ever seen one before. What are you talking about?
these are all bullet points that the movie studio knows it has to hit. Because this movie, again, like so many kids' movies these days, is not the fulfillment of anyone's creative vision. It is just the product of a corporate algorithm. It is loud and ugly.
Pretty sure a corporate algorithm doesn't let you change your concept design for a character and redo it through the entire movie just because the fans wanted to. Just throwing that out there. Sage, you're muted, so you can't hear what you're saying.
I said maybe.
Well, I mean, they're going to be like, well, no, we're just going to put it out there. People are going to like it, whether they like it or not. The director actually listened to fans and said, yeah, okay, well, we'll take a look at it. And they made it actually better. And there's a reason it made as much money as it did, and for as little as they put into it, and also made 3+ TV series, apparently.
Ugly and obnoxious and disjointed because nobody who made the film actually cared about making a good film. And they have absolutely no respect for their audience.
That's a nice argument, Senator. Why don't you back it up with a source?
My source is that I made it the
fuck up.
I mean, this
I
movie
love that
could have
quote.
been made by
One of my
AI.
favorite
This is-
memes.
you're at a point-
I am
If
the
they start making
sauce.
movies with AI, we would not know the difference because they've effectively been doing that for 20 years now.
The scam was that your mom didn't go gulp. That's what the fucking scam was. Because, hot damn, you want to know what's a scam? Your fucking education.
You might respond here.
It's a very good argument against the education. Didn't the Department of Education just get demolished?
It looks like they might
I
be doing
think
some
it's
serious
still
cuts.
there.
Okay, because I heard that they like completely demolished it, and I was like, please tell me yes.
I don't think that's
As
quite
many
done
people
yet.
Well, let's hope it hurries up.
on Twitter did after I gave a very brief review of this film in a tweet on the site a few days ago. You might respond that, well, this movie isn't for me. It's for kids. Well, first of all, tell that to the other people in the theater with us. I can tell you that my kids were by far the youngest people in attendance. There were multiple groups of adults, just adults, no kids, whole groups of them who bought tickets to Sonic the Hedgehog
It's almost like they grew up on Sonic the Hedgehog. Shocking!
3. Also, tell it to the multiple grown adults who got angry at me on Twitter for not liking the movie. The funny thing is that a lot of those
I don't think anybody cares if you like the movie. I think everybody cares that you're full of crap when you talk about the movie.
same people say, well, it's not for you, it's for kids. Why are you getting so upset about it then? Why are you tearfully defending a movie that you claim is not for you?
I don't know, but people would say that it's for kids as much as they would say it's for kids and Sonic fans. But yeah.
either.
If people say that the movie's for kids, which I would disagree with, I think anybody can watch it. It's probably more tailored for kids, but it's one of those kids things, quote unquote, that like anybody can watch, like a Cartoon Network show. But your argument for why it's not for kids is because you saw adults defending the movie and watching it. Do I even need to explain how fucking stupid that is? Like, what? Guys, Coco Melon is no longer for kids because I saw a grown adult watching it and defending it. Also, aren't you a grown adult saying that this movie broke you?
In fact, one person told me that my negative comments had upset, and I'm repeating this phrase verbatim, had upset the, quote, Sonic community. Now, those are not kids who identify themselves as members of the Sonic community. My 8-year-old loves Sonic, but he's not on Twitter furiously defending the Sonic community from its detractors. So I agree that these kinds of movies are for kids, but I am not the one who needs to be told that. Okay?
I think the saddest thing about
That's because he's one of those people who thinks it's either or. You're either a kid or you're a kid. Like there's no in between. You're not allowed to like this movie if you're not a child. Like, have either of you ever seen a film that was intended for kids, but you liked it?
Yes.
Name one. Non-anime, you plebe.
I was trying to go for non-anime. Well, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. There we go.
That's still sort of animated, I suppose.
Well, not anime. I meant like
Japanese
animation.
But it's like very close.
Kids stuff is often animated stuff. So I wouldn't expect them not to go animated. It's just Japanese animation, which is a different culture and a different feel. What about you, Sage?
Ooh, yeah. I mean, there's just too
You've
many.
never watched a kids movie as an adult and been like, yeah, that was good.
No, I just said there's too many to choose.
Just pick one. I just need one.
I don't fucking
Doesn't have to
know.
be your favorite. Just has to be one that you saw and you liked.
Actually, when's the last time I've watched movies?
I don't care when it was. I just care that you were an adult and you liked it and it was a kid's movie. That's all I care.
I don't know, Wreck-It Ralph.
Did you
or
like
something?
Wall-E?
Wall-E, yeah, that's fun.
Okay, Wall-E. Does he like Wall-E because he's obviously too retarded to
No,
understand the deeper meanings behind
obviously not.
that last part of his statement that he said he doesn't need to be told that and that he agrees that these movies are for kids is the fact that he still didn't even understand it. You couldn't understand a kid's movie by your logic. Also, being part of a community, quote unquote, is basically just having an interest in something that, you know, that's like a specific niche. For example, Matt Walsh, you are a right-wing YouTuber. You talk about a lot of right-wing politics. So if someone says something that upsets right-wing people and you may not be upset by it, you probably would, but irrelevant to the point, you would still be lumped in with those people because it's being hyperbolic in saying it upset the right-wing community, quote unquote. It doesn't mean it upset literally everybody. It just means that they upset, like, you know, people that are part of that community, or your takes upset or, you know, confuse people in that community. Matt Walsh is also a Christian, and he, like, the way he phrases it, it's like,
I don't know, at this point I feel like it's debatable. He's got such ridiculous takes.
Oh, these people.
If I can't take him serious and anything he talks about, how could I take him serious if he tells me he's a Christian?
Don't know.
Like, I could take Melanie Mack serious that she tells me she's a Christian because she's so over the top about it.
People are upset that I criticized the movie, blah, 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 wham, wham. Matt Walsh, if someone criticized the Bible and was like, oh, that's a plot hole, that doesn't make sense in the Bible to, like, try and disprove God or something, right? And what they said was wrong, would you or would you not want to respond to that, or you would get a little upset or confused by it? You would. Like, Matt Walsh does, like, open mic, like, debate things, and, like, people have tried to bring up, like, you know, Christian plot holes to him or whatever, and he does get noticeably upset when talking about the stuff. So it's like, I don't know what the confusion is. God is something that gives you happiness.
So, by the way,
or,
is
like,
the frame rate of this
morality
video
and, you know,
this bad, or is
purpose in
that
life
just...
or something.
It's
And media,
StreamYards.
for
It's
example,
just that
Sonic
shit.
is
Yeah,
something that
StreamYards
also
is
brings
terrible
people
for
enjoyment
video
and,
games
and
and
stuff
videos.
like that. Obviously, religion and, you know, consuming
It's
media
great
are
on
two
my
different
side 'cause
things,
I'm
but it's
in
the
the
same
browser.
general concept.
Second, and this is most important, and it shouldn't need to be explained, but really it does, and that's really my only
He's about to admit that he's a phony and a fraud.
point here. It is possible to make a children's movie that, although it's for children, is still a good, high-quality piece of art. I don't hate children's movies just because they're
Art is subjective, good sir, as I'm being told constantly all the time.
for children. Quite the opposite. As a father of 6, I've watched many, many children's movies. Okay, I've watched way more than the average person because I have so
Swan Princess is freaking OG great, just saying.
many kids.
Okay.
And I
If you haven't watched it, watch all 3 of them. They're freaking hilarious.
greatly appreciate the good
And
ones.
they're
A
like
few
a
nights
million
ago, just
versions.
There's 3 originals, and then they made like 20 years later they made another series of them or whatever. The original 3 are the only ones I care about.
Okay, which year?
Like 80s, 90s. Look up Swan Princess original. You'll find it. It's pretty hard to miss. But it's not Disney, but it's similar to Disney.
as an example, we watched the movie Iron Giant with my kids, and that's an animated
Also Thief and the Cobbler. Fantastic. And The King and I cartoon. Also really good.
children's film. It's also well written, beautifully illustrated, brilliantly performed, tonally consistent. It's funny and heartwarming, and at points it's sad, but it works all of that in a way that feels natural to the story. It's a children's film, and it's also a great film, one that I can watch and also enjoy.
That's just your opinion.
So which one is-
man.
Wait, oh, okay. We know he's lying because he said he's enjoyed a movie.
Guilty!
Objection!
Objection! Oh, sorry, objection!
Wait, that's not a good thing to do on YouTube.
I just threw my heart out to the judge.
Boy, because as it turns out,
Can't do an Elon
children's movies
salute.
are not just for children. They're for
Elon?
Yeah.
The way you said it just sounds weird. Elon.
Elon? That's not that strange. to me,
Elon
right?
DeGeneres.
Yes.
parents too.
Wait. So you just acknowledged that kids' movies can be watched by all audiences. Not only does that
Only if he thinks they're good.
refute the point that you made earlier about, oh, if it's a kids movie, then why are adults defending and watching it, blah blah blah. But also, the only criticism that you even put on Sonic 3 really that made sense was the tonal consistency. That doesn't mean the whole thing is not well written.
The consistency of squirrel droppings.
Okay, if a kids movie or kids show is so grating and so dumb and so unpleasant that parents can't stand to be in the same room while it's on, that doesn't mean it's for kids.
What if, hear me out, one parent doesn't like it, but another family has a parent that does like it? Now
No,
you're
that's
in a
not
bit of a conundrum, aren't you?
It isn't for kids. It isn't for anyone. It's just bad.
That's just not even true at all. Kids can watch stuff like Coco Melon or like Bubble Guppies. All right, you know what? Let me not disrespect Bubble Guppies. That show's peak. But like
Bubble
there
Guppies.
are
What?
kids
It's nothing compared to Bluey.
things that you can put on and a kid will enjoy.
Bluey's legitimately enjoyable. If you haven't watched it, Crimson, you need to. Do a review of that. All 3 seasons. Do it. They're only like 5
Why?
minutes. They're like 5-minute episodes. Because you will thank me. Guarantee it. They are great.
Somehow I doubt this, but
No, I'm
Maybe some
I'm
other
being
quality.
110% dead serious. Go watch Bluey. It's legitimately great. Do it, you cowards.
I somehow doubt it is.
You haven't watched it, so you can't diss it.
Play the video.
Enjoy it, and you know if you're an adult, you might not enjoy it as much.
Here, Crimson. You might actually become less gay if you watched it. There you go.
I'm not gay though, so
Press X to doubt. But I might think of you more as a man of the hetero field if you
Okay.
watch.
I don't
this.
care what
But-
you think. Your opinion is irrelevant.
yeah,
to me.
exactly. I
Oh,
thought we
yeah,
established that
yeah.
men don't
My
need to worry about what other people think.
That was when it came to Reputation. I'm not talking about his reputation. It's already been gone for a long time.
No,
Much because
it was
you are an
specifically
adult.
reputation that we had to worry about, but not what other people think of you. Did you not remember the discussion we had earlier?
You need to pick up what I'm putting down for you, Sage. You're struggling.
That doesn't
Please.
mean it's bad for kids. You've said one valid thing. That doesn't mean the whole shit is bad.
And the fact that people say, Well, of course it's bad. It's for kids. Tells you.
Nobody says that. That's a
I didn't
terrible
see
thing to say.
anyone say that.
Oh, wait,
Anybody,
Walsh said that.
anybody who says that is a verifiable brain dead, brain rot retard.
So Matt Walsh.
Yes.
Everything you need to know.
He's the only one actually saying it. Source, because I just.
I'm going to need you to back that up with a source, Senator. The source is I made it the fuck up.
About our culture. They act like it's ridiculous to expect the content produced for
I think I need that clip now.
kids to be high quality or to have any artistic merit whatsoever. But I tend to think exactly the opposite. I think content produced for kids should especially be high quality and should especially have artistic merit, which is why I hated Sonic
that's a fair
Hedgehog
opinion.
and why it is.
I mean, I'm okay with merit existing and whatnot. I don't get why you think you are the arbiter of that.
I was about to say that's one of the things that I argue about when it comes to like modern cartoons and some of like the older stuff that I grew up on is like Batman the animated series, like the DC animated cartoons were actually well written and compelling stories, and they were very well thought through.
Some of the older stuff was actually better made in every aspect than the new stuff.
Yes, like they hold up even like as an adult going back. Like this stuff is still really well written.
It's fire.
Is today, I must say, sadly, canceled.
That was so fucking corny at the end there.
Did he say cancel it or canceled?
Canceled. He said it's
Mm,
canceled.
and that's part of his show. He has a section where he cancels something.
Wait, are you saying part of his show is he gets canceled? I'm all for that.
No. He
No
takes
more
a
bad
topic
takes.
that happened or something, and then he says, "So this has been cancelled."
So, okay. I am all for satire, sarcasm, all that good stuff. He does not exude any of that.
No, he does not.
I
That's the
mean,
big issue.
Like, even if he's trying to be, in order to be, you need to be. He's not. Like, I know satire. I'm very familiar with sarcasm. It's kind of built into the system, so to speak. When I'm being sarcastic, people are like, no, I'm being sarcastic. Like, it's pretty obvious to tell because they're like, oh, that makes more sense. He doesn't pull anything like he's trying to be ironic or satirical or sarcastic. He just says it like he
That's
believes it.
But on the other hand, is that a hard requirement
A hard requirement for what?
for being counted as not serious?
I guess it depends. I mean, his humor seems more like Marvel humor. It's not funny.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, you've seen a
But
Marvel
that doesn't
film.
mean it's not intended, right?
Well, usually if you're intending to be funny, you're at least trying. Marvel tries, like a try-hard level tries, and fails because they're like, oh, well, people laughed at this one. Let's put it in every film. It's like, no.
I mean, listen, I agree. A lot of media should, any media, you should always be aspiring to make it as good as possible and not just, booger eating material. I don't think you should be defending something by saying, oh, it is for kids. I would more so say with something like Coco Melon, I guess. I would just be like, the kid enjoys it, whatever. Not for me.
Also, don't let your kids watch Coco Melon.
But if you're trying to defend
I
a
don't
movie's
even know
writing,
what that
which I don't think
means.
most
It started out like a YouTube channel, and it got like 5 million subscribers or something. It's these little kid animations where the Coco Melon is like this little baby who walks around and talks to people and stuff. It's peak failure when it comes to good entertainment for kids. Bluey is legitimate and enjoyable by both parents and kids because the adults can relate to the parents and the adults, but you can also kind of relate to the kids because for those of us who don't remember very much of our childhoods because it's been so long, you can kind of be like, oh yeah, I think I was like that when I was a kid. And then when you interact with kids afterwards, you're like, I know how to interact with kids better because I can be more patient with them or understand their imaginations and stuff like that.
Greetings. How do you do, fellow kids?
Literally. But yes, Bluey is fantastic.
most people would need to do with this video, because you actually haven't really said anything that, you know, proves why the movie is like incoherent or anything on a logical level, character level, plot level, etc. But there has been 3 kids movies alone that I've watched, or movies made with kids in mind, but you know, everybody can watch it. Transformers 1, Inside Out 2. I've heard The Wild Robot is
Inside
great.
Out, not Elemental.
Sonic
Sorry.
the Hedgehog
Inside Out
3
was
is
the
great.
one
This
earlier.
video is stupid. Matt's a bit of an idiot. Keep talking about politics, even though he can be a bit of an idiot on that front too. Yeah, this video
mean,
kind of gave
he
me an
can-
excuse to talk about Sonic 3.
Okay, that's gonna be done anyway. But if you have takes this bad, you probably have bad takes when it comes to politics. Because again, this comes down to if you're going to be sarcastic, satirical, humorous, whatever your appearance is supposed to be based off of. If you're going to do that, you have to make it known that there's no doubt that when you are being that thing, you are that thing, and when you're not being that thing, people can take you seriously. Because if I can go to a comedian who has political takes, also just wants to make jokes about, you know, movie reviews or something, they can at least tell me the difference about when they're being funny or when they're being serious about it. It's like, but in all seriousness, blah, 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 blah. Like, there's ways to go about it. There's more subtle ways even than that to do it. But when you go so over the top on purpose, people can look at it and say, okay, yeah, to be fair, he's probably just joking about it. But when you're sitting there staring at the camera with 2 eyes and you're like, I'm being serious, no one's going to be like, he's joking. Like, that's a horrible take. It's like, yes, he's very serious as he looks at me to tell me he's very serious. He's actually joking. But yeah, I think if he wants to comment on politics, I can't take anything he says seriously, because if he is just trolling and isn't joking or not being serious just to get clicks, again, disingenuous hack, he should stop doing that. But I can't say that he's going to do what he's going to tell me he's doing anyway. Like, there's no way for me to say, yeah, his political take makes logical sense because of his stances, his principles. Does he have any at this point? I highly doubt that. But I have no way to make anything make sense in the grand scheme of his entire act if every time he comes in, he's always trolling. So he's like, hey, you should support Trump, trolling. Hey, you should not support Trump, trolling. Hey, you should support Harris. Hey, you shouldn't support Harris. How do I know which one is actually Matt Walsh? What is his actual take? Because all I can tell is he's a personality. He's a piece of work, that's for sure. But he's a personality, but I can't tell what he's saying or what he's thinking. So then you have Glenn Beck, Liz Wheeler, and Matt Walsh. All of them, to me, are jokes themselves, just inherently. They can't tell jokes. They can't be sarcastic. They can't be anything like that because they can't tell anything about anything. It's so bad. I don't even have an analogy ready for that one. It's so bad. It's like my quality of videos. That includes you too, by the way. Anyway, what do you guys think about the conservatism movement of stupidity that's going around and about?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the anti-game / anime sentiments.
What, you don't like
Movement.
people that hate you?
No.
Ridiculous.
But it's not as bad as the left actively going in and destroying it.
Well, the left goes and destroys it kind of like a bull in a china shop. The right goes and destroys it like leaving a time bomb and then leaving. They do the same thing overall.
I think they do that.
No, they do, because they're constantly poisoning the well, so to speak, towards anything that could be used in the culture war as like a morale boost. Because like, if you had the left coming out making their Dragon Age Veil Guards, their Concords, their Dustborns, their just blatant trash, Last of Us Part 2 stuff, and then you had other center or right content creators, whether it be developers or whatever, coming in and making basically anything that's good off of merit, off of quality, off of what the fans want, what people who are absorbing the quality, whether it be movies, video games, books, music, whatever the case might be. They're coming out there and they're literally just saying, have this good quality content. We made this out of merit and love for the fans, and we hope you enjoy it. And that's all they said. That would destroy the less chance of ever coming back.
Sure.
Absolutely demolish it. But they won't do it because I don't like video games because I'm a stupid person. It's the best. It's the best they've got.
No, but I think that's only a small percentage of
The
people.
small percentage of people that are the people who are the faces of the entire movement. That's the problem.
The right, or at least the pundits on the right, are like in this weird place where they want to like sway the culture their way, but they feel that they are above the culture in and of itself. Entertainment, video games, anime, movies, it's all below them, and the only respectable form of entertainment you should be allowed is politics, board games, and
not even board games, because that's D&D, remember?
Well, I mean, Matt Walsh did say he played Monopoly.
Well, yeah, because he's a commie.
Well, he plays Monopoly because he only likes the most boring of fucking board games.
Well, they're called board games for a reason, Crimson.
And he does approve sports ball. So if you watch big sweaty men handle balls all day, well, that's fine.
I don't need to know about your fantasies, Crimson. Keep it to your own imagination.
That's not my fantasy. That's a Matt Walsh fantasy.
Maybe it's your fantasy of Matt Walsh.
That's what are you even on about at this point?
Don't try to deflect.
The right loves to just snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, pretty much.
Yep.
Like this is an easy layup. All they have to do is just play nice with the entertainment sector, and you start like swaying the culture back over to you, because these people just want to be left alone. If you're the side that leaves them alone, they will naturally gravitate towards you, because right now the left are insisting on being more annoying these next 4 years.
The left is consistently trying to shove it down your throat and say, you need to like the stuff I'm giving you. You need to agree, not just tolerate. You need to be fully on board and, vow to protect everything we believe ideologically with your very life. Like, your life doesn't matter as long as you kill that one guy we don't like. That mentality. And on the other side, us normal people are like, we just want merit to come back to make good quality stuff. We have good writers. We have good developers. We have good movie makers. We have good script writers. We have good authors. We want good content from the people who deserve to put their stuff out because they're good at what they do and they work hard at it. And then we want the good product. We want to consume said good product. But we're not trying to push it down your throat and be like, no, you have to like or agree with us. Which is why Melanie Mack has so many problems. It's because she's trying to force it down your throat. She's doing the exact methods and tactics of the left, just with her right viewpoint. And that's the problem, is because most of us who I have enjoyed her content many times in the past, but now it's like I can't take her seriously because she's basically turning into a Matt Walsh, a Glenn Beck, or a Liz Wheeler but my religion. And it's like, but your religion doesn't tell you to do none of that stuff.
Melanie Mack of the Rice.
But yeah, it's just like, why can't we just have fun games? Why can't we just have good movies? Why can't we just have entertainment be entertaining? Why can't we have books that are well written? Why is this so difficult? Because it's really it's not that difficult.
It isn't. Literally, all you have to do in many cases is just not be insane and intentionally alienate the people who have similar political opinions to you. That's one of the reasons why the pendulum has swung all the way back the other way, is because you have one faction, the left, who got really, really fucking annoying with their politics and with trying to jam everything into movies and entertainment, and now everything's swung back towards the right. People don't want anything to do with them. Now the right is behaving the same way. You're going to drive people back the other way.
And we just
leave them alone.
We
just leave them alone, and they will come to you and stay there. You don't have to do anything as long as you let them enjoy their thing.
Well, the best part is that we just got people to agree with us. Literally just now. And immediately Melanie Mack goes in there like, I want to wreck everything. It's just like, Why? We just want to have good stuff. Now, her definition of good stuff might differ, and that's fine. She doesn't have to like games that have gay content or even straight content, because she considers those like over-the-top relationships, like porn or something. And, she's like, oh, well, I don't even want straight stuff in my... I'm like, fair enough. You don't want to have straight nudity or straight relations being done in your games. That's perfectly fine. You don't have to go consume that stuff. But if somebody else is like, I'm an adult and I can handle that content and it's not going to bother me, or I can avoid it because I make the personal choice to do so, she shouldn't be trying to shame them into believing that they don't have that right, or they're not that good, or whatever the case might be. Because she constantly says, I'm not saying to censor this, but y'all just a bunch of shameful pigs who just want to get off. It's like, those both can't be true at the same time. And if this was like far enough back in her history, I would say maybe she's changed her mind in that time period. But we're talking when Stellar Blade came out. She had nothing wrong with that, and then bam, First Senate comes out and
It
she has a
was
problem.
literally like a couple weeks after the election, and all of a sudden this happens.
Well, she went full Trumpian. Like,
Yeah.
at this point, she makes Jeremy Griggs from Geeks and Gamers look like a freaking normie who likes Trump. Like, she's gone over the boards, as they say. And she just... I don't know why. You don't have to even like Trump for any of this to matter. Like, you don't. You can literally just... I want good quality stuff. Remove bad people, put good people in, continue. It's that simple. If you're unsatisfied, like, man, the quality of media has gone down horribly lately. I wonder how we could fix this. We told you for years what the solution was. And if you're not paying attention, well, that's on you. But for the life of me, I can't figure out why it's difficult for people to understand.
Well, it's one of those things, like you said, your standards of what's a good game will change based on the person. That's kind of my stance on a lot of stuff, why I try to generally refrain from outright calling things bad at this point.
Well, if you
Because
say it's bad, give a reason. Like, the storytelling is bad, like objective stuff, not just like,
yeah, no, I was
they had a
gonna
girl
launch.
wearing a short skirt in it, and I couldn't handle
I
it.
was gonna launch into talking about something that kind of hits all points on this. And if I say the name Beihei Neko, you'll probably know, because everyone in my chat likes to harass me about it. Effectively,
No
it
idea.
is one of those degen anime. That's all about like tits and stuff.
Ah,
I don't like it
a
because
fan service anime, you mean?
yeah, I don't like it because the writing sucks. Like, I don't mind, like, the fan service part of it doesn't bother
we are
me.
gentlemen of culture. We don't come for the plot.
I don't mind the fan service part of it. That doesn't bother me. It's the fact that you literally have a blacksmith who can't figure out how to make a smaller blade.
Wait, I thought we were talking about anime, not Rings of Power.
Same difference. But yeah, it's like, it doesn't mean just because I don't like the
There's no
series.
fan service of Rings of Power. There is a difference.
It doesn't mean that just because I don't like it, I want it censored. Okay.
Yeah, but
I can see where Melanie Mack saying like she doesn't like it, but that doesn't mean she doesn't want it censored. Has a point. The issue is she's finger wagging at everyone who does like it.
that too. But it's not even that. It's like when Kingdom Come Deliverance stuff came out, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, it's got gay scenes in it." But she doesn't even take into account, okay, Kingdom Come Deliverance treats gay relationships a certain way, a way that she would agree
To
with.
be fair, though, I think they shouldn't have used Hans for that.
Well, originally there was no news that Hans was that possible, but I don't know how that is. The actual guy in real life apparently got married a couple years after the like 5 years after the events of Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 or 2. So like we know he's
Like,
actually straight.
we know how he is in the first game.
But that's supposed to be the part of the RPG element. Same thing as Baldur's Gate 3. I almost said Baldur's Gate 4. We don't play Baldur's Gate 4. But in
but in this case, it's extra annoying because this is destroying like a good example of a regular male friendship, right?
Well, it is, but again, it's something you have to actively search out. It's not something that
And
just
then,
falls in your
there,
lap.
you're actually critiquing the writing of that specific instance,
if
and
you're
not
saying,
the fact that it's just a gay thing.
if you're going in and saying, "Oh well, guys can't even be friends. I'm like, well, they can if you didn't hit the 14 checks you had to hit to become gay. Like, if you're going out of your way and you accidentally stumble down the stairs,
Yeah, and I get that.
and
but
you get through a 14, that's a you
Change
problem.
the whole thing in a certain way, right?
Well, yes, but that's the thing is that I work with girls that are all about guy on guy stuff.
Sure.
They love that content.
For
No,
some reason,
I
yeah.
don't like that content.
I didn't
It's
need to know
repulsive.
that you are a Fujoshi.
What?
A gay shipper. That's the term for it.
Yeah.
So,
I'm not.
I guess
Fujo-
someone has never seen
Fujoshi
I
it.
is
said
someone who
the
enjoys
girls
BS.
I work with are. I didn't say I was.
Sure,
Deaf?
Sure, yes.
I don't ship anyone.
I
to be
also
fair.
have friends that do certain things. Yes.
I have friends
Madam
who watch
Savvy stuff.
ecchi anime.
Well, ecchi. There's nothing inherently wrong with ecchi anime. It's when you go a little bit further than that. But yeah. But
I mean,
what-
I wasn't the one looking up Secret Mission.
it was a little. I saw this thing of these guy and a girl doing this whole. What is it? Mr. and Mrs. Smith
Secret
kind of
Mission?
thing. And I was like, that looks kind of interesting. It popped in my timeline. I didn't know what it was.
Sure.
The reason I had to ask Crimson is because I didn't know what it was. I was like, I can't find this anywhere. Why can't I find this anywhere?
Okay, so what is it?
It's a hentai.
No, you know.
Apparently, it's a
Oh,
hentai.
okay.
I was like, I just see clips, and apparently this has happened regularly. Because if you go on Facebook or YouTube and you get the little short things, they'll show clips of it. But like, apparently some of them are hentai, but they don't show the hentai scenes. They show the non-hentai parts of it, and you're like, oh, this looks interesting, and then you can't find it for obvious reasons. So yeah, that's why. Why would I ask him if I didn't know what it was? That makes no sense. But anyway, with girls liking that content, that's a reason if a girl played the game, she might go that path because she really wants to see it because she's Madame Savvy and she's a degenerate. You know, like that kind of stuff. That would make logical sense. It doesn't make logical sense that a regular person playing the game goes through the game, picks all of the check boxes, literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 of them, and actually gets there and says, I didn't want this. That's like, it's like courting a woman for like 10 years, marrying her and being, I didn't want this. You didn't spend 10 years doing it.
Right? At some point.
Oh, I'm sorry, 14 years. Are you happy now? Hit those check boxes. But no, and actually, I've heard the opposite argument made, and I actually enjoy this argument. Think of it this way. The devs are trying to make the game gay, so you can play your part by going into the game and making sure you stay straight. It's like, it's actually funny because, you know, it does actually kind of make sense. Like, I'm going to keep Henry straight. I'm going to keep Hans straight. I'm going to save everybody who's not already gay, because there's a couple characters that are gay, like the villain's gay and everything. Like, there are characters like that. It's like, I'm gonna take the characters who are straight and keep them straight in an RPG.
Okay.
Like, that makes sense from a logical perspective. Same thing as in Baldur's Gate. If guys start jumping on your guy.
Moments. Keep them straight. That implies that.
No,
they
because
can
the argument
choose.
is that they are straight and that they cannot possibly ever become bisexual. So you solidify that by keeping them straight, by playing the game with them straight.
I love seeing the arguments when it comes to this stuff of people like, being woke is not a scalar. You can't be 0.0001% pregnant. You're either pregnant or not.
I mean, that
I'm
is
just
true.
like,
You are
'cause
either pregnant or not pregnant. so-
yes, the pregnancy part is true. You either are or aren't pregnant. But making the comparison just absolutely fails because it's the difference between like just someone being gay and them shoving it in your face and talking about how like you
To be
need
fair,
to
though,
respect
they
them
do
for-
have a big problem with understanding the difference between binaries and spectra.
This is true. Now, the right does struggle with the concept because in this situation, it's mostly the right-leaning people who are getting super crazy upset and butthurt about this, especially the extremists like Melanie Mack and Raise Your Fist. Now, I find it hilarious because as far as I was aware, the right believes that you're not born gay. You can just choose to be gay.
No,
That's been the stance for years. Where the left is like, no, you're born gay. You don't have a say in it, kind of a thing. So if this is a situation where the guy's choosing to pick another guy to be with as opposed to a woman or nobody in Kingdom Come Deliverance.
I mean, maybe it's the right over in your
But then the
case.
right's like, but he's always been straight. I'm like, but I thought your stance was is that men could go and become into other men for a time period at the very minimum, being bi/gay, because they're not born that way. But they're fighting and dying on the hill saying he's born this way. I'm like, but that's not your stance. That's never been your stance. Your stance has always been they choose to be gay. So I was like, which is it? Are you agreeing with the left? Or are you going to agree with what your stance has been notoriously? They're like, we choose the left. I'm like, but you're the right, right? Right. I'm like, you make no sense. You're ridiculous.
We are the wrong.
Your argument is ridiculous. And I keep seeing these things on Twitter /X, whatever you want to call it.
Twitter, obviously.
I see people going all the time. It's like, I thought you guys were going to hold the line. I'm like, the people with an actual brain cell, no. And for those of you out there that watched my Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 rumor review things, you'll understand my position in terms of having a black character in the area can make historical sense dependent upon how they're there, why they're there, etc. If a king or a wannabe king has a court and he brings you with him from somewhere else,
I don't know about wannabe kings, but kings definitely. The wannabes don't really have power.
He assumes he's the king, but he's not the official king yet.
People have effectively they're talking about, I thought you were going to hold the line. Well, you held the wrong line. Our line was, don't be obnoxious to us and we won't care. I don't care whether there's a gay character, a black character, or whatever. Just don't ruin a game over it.
I do care because it's supposed to be a historical-ish type thing.
Well, yes.
And it is a historical-ish based thing because gays are not treated very well because it's condemned by the church.
My
that's in the
point
game.
being is it woke, or the holding the line was not inherently against black and gay, okay? It was against all of that stuff being forced in without a good reason for it to be present.
Yeah, well, they all thought it was DEI or woke, and I'm like, but no, it's not, because there's legitimate reasons it can be there. Like, you can be a scholar that is in somebody's court and be from a different country. That happens all the time. It's not impossible. So if that's the case, they're like, well, why would he be so that far away? Maybe they have like why
other places in Crusader Kings all the time.
Yeah, all the time, literally. But like, why is he there? Well, he's a scholar. Maybe he has a particular field he's in. Then people go all on about the whole they're promoting Islamic propaganda because the guy says, you know, we treat our women better than you guys treat yours. And it's like, an Islamic person would actually believe that. Like,
yeah, I actually caught that part of your video. When, I don't know how long ago that was.
That's not propaganda. That's literally just being true to the character. A villain can believe they're doing good and still be a villain. We know they're wrong, but they're still a villain. Now, the guy in this situation, as far as I'm aware, he's not a villain. He's just a Muslim guy. He's a Moor or whatever. And he's in the service of Sigismund. That's
just merely evil. Yes.
Well, yes. he serves the bad guy. But no, like the point is that he himself, we don't know. There's not enough content in the game for him to show he's good or bad. He just is. He has a hot take, but you can disagree with him in the game. Shocking, you can disagree with him in real life too. So it's like nothing about this character is offensive to being there. It does not require DEI or woke to be there. Nothing. Now, if the population of every town was mixed with Asians, black people, Native Americans, and freaking, you know, Pacific Islanders, then yes, I would probably have a problem with that because that's not what Bohemia would look like in the 1400s. That's not too far of a stretch, guys. It's pretty easy to go with. But then saying somebody gay, plenty of people could have been closeted gay. You can't count that out. We know deviant behavior existed in the olden worlds.
Okay, but at that point, it's just headcanon, and you can headcanon however you want.
Well, it's the thing. It's like there's some established characters, like the bad guy is gay, and I think there's a monk or something that's gay. And
yeah, checks out.
I mean, if you have historically accurate, but no, you can be like, hey, it's an RPG role playing game. Now, the first one, this is the problem with Vavra because Vavra's been really stupid, but he's been taking the position in the first one where like, oh, you're not playing like you're not Henry, you're playing as Henry, and it's all about him and everything. I'm like, but it's an RPG game, so you're technically picking and choosing his stuff. Like, he goes to do this because you tell him to go do it. It's not. This isn't God of War cinematic trilogy where it's just all trilogy and then you hit a button every 5 minutes. Like, it's it's legitimately a game. It's an RPG game, and you go in and you do RPG stuff. Somehow this is a controversial take. I don't know why. Games like Baldur's Gate 3, Dungeons and Dragons, any of these games that involve creativity and imagination in a world where the rules are only bound by the world setting, not by your imagination per se. As long as the DM or whoever's in charge of the game says that's within the rules, yeah, you could have a freaking cyber velociraptor with laser beam eyes that shoots out piranhas out of its rear end. You can do whatever you freaking want, as long as it's okay with the DM. You can do that. You could technically even have sexual relations with it too.
No, that sounds like a bit too far.
That sounds woke. Well, if that's the point of the woke Baldur's Gate 3, is that it literally lets you do whatever you want that it has programmed available, and it tries to program as much as available as possible. There's nothing wrong with that. You might disagree or not want the content. Most people, like 70+% people who play Baldur's Gate 3, can avoid that content if it's not their thing. If you have a character walk up to you and it's like, hey, I'm into you, and you're like, but that would make me gay and I'm not about that, so no. You just tell them no. It's that simple. It's really, really simple. So it's not woke. Woke is when it's Dustborn or Veilguard when you have a 2-minute clip about, hey, you mispronouned me. Like, how dare you? Do a barv or 5 million, because by the time you finish pumping all those barbs out, you're gonna have freaking arms that can break Galactus in half. But no, they can't get it in their heads that they are the very thing they despise with a different opinion. That's literally it. And the rest of us are like, why don't we just promote the good stuff? Larian has done fantastic work. I have not seen anything by Larian that I would say I am disappointed in.
Mm-hmm. Shame they won't do Baldur's Gate 4.
I believe they're doing Divinity 3.
That's good to hear.
Because, well, one of the reasons allegedly that they're not doing Baldur's Gate 4 is because, one, Wizards of the Coast didn't want them to.
Mm-hmm.
Two, they wouldn't get any. They created characters in Baldur's Gate 3, like Shadowheart and stuff, where they're creators.
Yeah. So the thing is,
they won't get toys or action figures. They used to work
with regards to the interplay between Larian and Wizards of the Coast. That whole team they interacted with was kicked out and replaced.
Yeah.
And the new one, let's say they don't agree with most.
Well, they're trash, yes. But when Larians left to their own devices, they make excellent games.
Yep.
And I think I have all of them. The original Sin games are particularly fun because they're like their version of D&D. If Larian ever came out and said, we're making our version of D&D using their original Sin setting, rules, and everything, holy crap, they would break the world. Because they're not freaking, retards like the Pathfinder guys. They're not freaking retards like the Wizards of the Coast guys. They'd literally be putting something out there and saying, yeah, here's this thing. You're all familiar basically with everything here, but it's ours, and we're going to take good care of it. And we're not going to be stupid about it. They would make so much money. But if they don't even do Divinity, I think they will do Divinity because that's what they're familiar with, is that style of game. But if they didn't do that, they would just make a new IP that's going to be really popular because it's Larian. And they better freaking make their freaking physical media. Because that's what I'm here for. I dream of the day when devs bring back physical media because it'd be the most base moment in history. But be as it may. Any final thoughts on this, guys, before we knock this one out of the park?
I ain't got none other than a bunch of midwits have hijacked the conversation and need to shut the fuck up.
Stop talking about us.
No, you're half-wits. I'm talking about midwits.
Is half better than mid?
Depends.
It is dependent on how tall they are. Anyway, what do you think, Sage?
Oh no, I said all I wanted to say.
I didn't
So,
hear what you said because you talked at the same time Crimson did.
yeah, no, I said all I wanted to say.
Oh, okay. Deep as usual, like
Yeah.
your YouTube.
Like we
video
had
log.
what 4+ almost 5 hour conversation, maybe.
3 hours and 52 minutes.
Did we start late?
Yes, because we had to wait for Matt,
Okay.
and then we just talked for a bit. It's standard for us, dude. I'd
Mhm.
love to do
Yeah.
live streams, but I don't
I've
think
said a lot
it
of
was the
stuff in those 3+ hours.
Yes, you did. Well, did you? Did you though?
Well, a
I
decent
think
number.
out of all of us, you probably had the least to say.
Well, to be fair, you and Matt were
Going at it,
taking
yes,
all
we
the
do that.
time, I guess.
What can I say? I kind of have to. It's kind of my job as the channel guy. So, look pretty bad if I didn't actually talk in my own videos.
Yeah, exactly. I don't get paid, so it's,
I don't get paid either. I don't want to hear it. Crimson's probably making more money off of this than we are. Anyway, thanks for hanging out, guys. If you made it this far, you are the real champions. Not like those fakers who can't make it through a full 4-hour video. Long form content's great, but sadly there's a very small market for it. Or at least that market doesn't know we exist. That should be the thing I say. But yeah, thanks for hanging out, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun jazz. Check out Crimson Law's channel and Matt. I'll have both of their links down in the description and whatnot. Sage doesn't have anything, so you can just ignore him. He'll be back probably the next video we do. We got asked to do a video, so I guess we're going to do that video, and that's going to be interesting because I've never been asked to do a video before, so this is interesting. I actually like the idea of reacting to something somebody wants to hear about, because then I can actually, talk about something somebody wants to hear about. Anyway.
Yeah, right now we're just talking about random stuff.
Basically, yes, that's what we're doing. No, whatever happens, but being asked to actually react to their own content is foreign to me. I don't know how to feel about it, but we'll go with it. So anyway, thanks everybody for hanging out, and remember, my friends, walk in the light.
Farewell.